All right. Good afternoon, everyone. Hope everyone's having a great post-July 4th celebration. It's almost 2 o'clock or past 2 o'clock here in Eastern Standard Time. And it's bloody hot as normal. It's been a warm week and so far a warm month. But thanks for joining us. We're doing yet another wonderful experience of our coverage of The Last of Us Part 2. I hope this will be our last one because I think we're kind of tired of talking about it. It's a simple enough to understand narrative. It's just a mess to play through and watch. And it's a long experience in comparison to, let's say, watching episode 9 of Star Wars. Like, that's a mess as well, but you only get 2 hours of that, and as opposed to 10 or 20, or if you play the whole thing, 25, 30 hours. So, joining me is LiteratureDevil and Shiny. Thanks, guys, for tuning in. Hope everything's cool on your sides of the border, or the ocean, as it were.
No, it's still warm. It's still warm.
Oh, it's bloody hot, man.
Over here, it's pretty cool, actually. We've got some nice cool breeze.
Well, that's good.
It's very windy.
That sounds fantastic. That sounds like something I want to be doing this weekend at the patio, but because I don't know what happened on a Friday evening when I went to go get some beer, there were like cars lined up, and we have all that distancing to line up to a store. So I imagined to get into the LCBO, which is our liquor store in Toronto, and I got out within 15 minutes, which is actually pretty good. As soon as I got out, there was like a lineup around the block. And I was like, what the hell just happened? So everyone was obviously buying cases and cases of wine and beer and going up north. And just, oh my God, I don't know how, I've never seen that much beer and wine move that quickly at a store. I was like, okay, this is an American holiday. What's happening? This is Canada.
When America celebrates a holiday, the world celebrates the holiday.
Yeah,
No,
apparently.
no one celebrates the holiday. It was like, what the fuck are those Americans going on about? It's like, well, they celebrate their independence. Bitch, we had it from the start. Well, at least we did anyway.
It's celebrating us being awesome. You know, just making all the SJWs mad and cry. And so many tears.
Well, okay, so
many tears.
I
drank
don't
so many
understand like the social justice warrior like kind of backlash against it. I guess it's because they don't like America.
No, they're probably literal Middle Eastern terrorists who love America more than these people do.
So I think it may be because they consider it like a holiday for bigots. It's like, oh well, these
everything is for bigots. Everything is
chauvinists over here. They're having a fun time. It's like, oh, that makes me angry.
I'm waiting for the articles to come out to tell us how celebrating one's birthday is an act of white supremacy somehow. I'm waiting for that.
Well, the OK symbol is white supremacy. Why not everything else?
Everything's just white supremacy.
Well, I think America gave us freedom fries and bigot sandwiches as a response to the last of us.
Bigot sandwiches are delicious.
And there's steak.
I've heard they're made with steak.
Yeah.
So that's delicious. You have a bigot beer go with it. That'd be fantastic.
Bigot beer. Oh my God. It's a little bit of alliteration there, but yes, I like that idea as well. We're going to learn linguistics from Girlfriend Reviews here. That's how we're covering. And she had a very popular video that Druckmann himself retweeted about. So obviously he liked it because it was praising the game. And that's fine. I mean, you can have positive, negative reviews of the thing. Most of the videos I've seen have been in response to how bad it's set up, how badly the characters are, how unlikable the characters are, how boring the story is, how long it is. So to have a positive one is hard to come across. So when we found Just Right, we're like, of course Just Right likes it. It made him have a feeling. Anything with a feeling he enjoys.
Did it really have to come out first? I'm pretty sure he just liked it on principle.
Yes.
Because it was made with a lot of pretentiousness, and the Druckmann was just overwhelmingly smug about everything. So I'm pretty sure Just Right disliked it on those principles alone.
Yeah, Just Right's whole explanation was the game is supposed to make you feel this way, and I did not want the actions that the game was forcing me to do, and because it evoked this emotion of me not wanting to do something because I care about these characters, that means the game did a good job. I did a much better impression when I was actually a bit more fresh in mind about the video.
Yeah, why even release his games? You know that he's just going to like it on principle.
I make his voice a little bit too cool.
Yeah, that's
his voice is always this game. No, it's like no, he wouldn't talk like that.
So, Joe Crazy, yeah, we are covering Girlfriend Reviews. I've never heard of her channel till this video, so it's good that she's very popular. She's almost 1 million subs, so good on her. And she does this is a very quality video. Like, she knows how to put a video together and add some humor and clips. I don't know. I'm just not very good at that, so I'm impressed by it. So I like the fact that she has an argument and she messes up a lot of terms that are like first year university arts courses stuff. And
There's actually an argument here. It's not just what flavor bigot we are.
no. There's nothing like
The
that.
argument isn't you're biased. You're just biased. You're biased because this character killed your favorite character, and that's the only reason you don't like this character.
I don't like her because she killed the main character last game that I played through the entire first game.
Well,
Of
you're
course I
just
don't like her.
biased.
I want to decapitate her with my. I want to play as Ellie and decapitate her or something. Crush her brains in. I don't know, something like that. I know. Everyone has their own sob story, but she killed Joel. She gets therefore. I want to play as Ellie and I'll stab her in the neck or something. Something like that. You're not going to like her.
Sadly, according to John Lemley, guys, there's no video today. Women don't play video games, so we can't take their opinions seriously about a game-like game.
Oh yeah, I forgot. Yeah.
It's the game-like games we can't play. It's okay.
A lot of the arguments we've heard is like, well, yeah, you're just biased because they killed your favorite characters. Like, yes, a lot of people don't like it because of that reason.
Yeah, aren't you guys
What's your
about
point?
feeling? Don't you know about feeling? How people, if someone kills your loved one, you're not going to like them. So yeah, you're going to be biased against them. Duh. Learn how to
We
human.
must like character that kills our favorite character from the last game.
That's
It's like I said last time. They made us angry on purpose with something. But at the end of the day, we're still angry. It's kind of like how Yahtzee said, Claptrap, he knows Claptrap from Borderlands is supposed to annoy you, but at the end of the day, he's still annoyed. It worked, but he's still annoyed.
It's like liking the collectors from Mass Effect 2 after they kill Shepard at the start of the game. It's like, yeah, you could like them. They're a good enemy. Can't you like them? They're villains. It's like, that's not why we have villains. We're supposed to dislike the villains for the reasons they're in. And now they kill a main character. That's a whole ball of crap you do not want to unpack at the start of the first 10 minutes. I got to give it to Mass Effect for killing off the character in the first 10 minutes. Last of Us took an hour. They give an hour and a bit to kill off Joel. Like, whoa, you guys took your time there. Okay. Learning from someone's mistakes.
Dragon Ball Z kind of did it right. The Vegeta killed a bunch of people, but they're all people we don't really like, and they came back to life. He killed Yamcha and stuff. So, actually, you know what? Vegeta himself didn't kill anybody. It was all Nappa, and he stayed dead. So they did it right there. The only guy Vegeta killed was maybe Goku, maybe, only a little bit, but not really. Goku
Maybe
survived.
possibly.
Yeah, kill him for a little bit.
He has a habit of running around the afterlife. It's kind of funny with Dragon Ball.
If Joel came back, maybe we wouldn't hate Ellie as much. But in Dragon Ball Z, the main characters died, and we accepted Vegeta as a main character eventually. But because everyone that died during the Saiyan incident came back to life, except for Nappa. That's it. Like one of the main bad guys who killed everybody stayed dead. Okay, that's why we could forgive people like Vegeta, because first of all, he didn't kill everybody, and second of all, everyone came back to life anyway, except for Nappa. But if you had someone who just came in and killed one of your favorite characters, you wouldn't like them very much.
Okay. Here's Coolman229. Intent doesn't justify bad writing. I agree. That's right. Cuck K-Man wanting people to feel miserable with a bad story doesn't justify a miserable story that angers people. It's strange why they would do something like this. And it's the same argument. If you hear that quote from Ryan Johnson when I think he was making Brick. I can't remember when he said it, but it was recording. He wants someone to watch his film and either absolutely hate it or absolutely love it. Like, that's his intention. And that's also the same quote that Druckmann had. He doesn't want people to have a sort of response. They want them to hate it or love it, which is, I guess, if you want to do that with a piece of work. But that's like, you're either very eclectic to like something, or the average person is going to hate it. And I can't understand why you'd ever want to make a piece of media like that, unless it's just for like your friends, or you're making something specifically for one person and you know their tastes. So if you're doing a very low budget thing or a personal private thing, great. Make a story that's just so eclectic that only like your PhD chemistry friend would like. That would be cool. But if you're making something mainstream, AAA, a sequel to something, and you do all these twists and turns and backflashes and flashback. They're just stupid. Like, they're just not how you compose a story that's easy to follow. So I'm always going to harp on a composition of a story, the plot of a story, why something works, and jumping perspectives. Unless there's a very good reason to do that, you're just going to piss people off. They're going to get bored. They want to know why things are jumping around, who these characters are, and why I should care. So when you have a through line, like a driving force in a story, you want to keep on that road. You don't want to take a detour. You don't want to jump to another car in another part of the galaxy doing something else. So, and we're going to see what Girlfriend Reviews has to say about some of those literary devices, which I think are a bit off, but that's up to you to decide. All right, we got one more, and then we're going to keep on going with the video, or even start with the video, because we're still talking about America and July 4th and all that dandy good stuff. John Lemley. I got the sense that a lot of the people who hate that fans aren't happy about Abby haven't had anyone they know killed, so they don't understand loss. It's possible that they did not understand what killing a protagonist is all about, especially one that's been established, or killing a best friend, or killing a family member, and realizing it doesn't matter what you do or what that person does to even try, if they want to make up for that, which Abby never does. Nothing will ever heal that wound. And it's such an obvious life lesson whenever you have loss in your life, like your puppy dies, or after a drunk driver hit it, or hell, a family member gets killed. It's a big blow. And it's strange that they would want us to go through that. Watching someone else, controlling someone else we don't like. Anyway, we all know this. We've talked about this before. Let's see what Girlfriend has to say.
Okay, you guys, there's no way to do this without spoilers. We ask that you be patient, listen carefully, and most of all, be kind to one another in the comment section. Thank you. Matt and I finished The Last of Us Part 2 over a week ago, and like many of you, have been trying to get Ja Rule on the phone to make sense of all this.
Where is Ja?
But he's not available for comment, so we're gonna do it ourselves. First, we need to address the big dead elephant in the room. Joel. In 2013, Joel Miller became a top 10 video game character and PlayStation mascot practically overnight. Not because he was a fat plumber that jumps real good, or a blue hedgehog that's gotta go fast, or a walrus talking about bug snacks, but because he was a father in anguish over the loss of his daughter. And while mature themes had been explored in video games for decades at this point, Joel was portrayed with state-of-the-art motion capture by perhaps the most prolific actor in all of gaming. And further bringing him to life were a team of writers.
Okay, so a little bit of hero worship there. Obviously, she likes Troy Baker. I wouldn't say he's the most prolific. There's quite a lot of prolific voice actors in every media, cross media as well. So just, you get the sense of bias already from the start of this video. But I'm not going to, again, we're not going to care about her opinions of a voice actor or a director or what have you. It's just...
Well, I just want to point out her line. It's like, point out the big dead elephant in the room, Joel.
That's a good line. I like that line.
He didn't give him that much weight.
I wasn't laughing because it was funny. I was just laughing because it was felt so out of nowhere. It's like, hey, you fat elephant, you're dead.
To make fun of Joel's dad bod.
She has her own brand of comedy. I'm okay with it.
Animators and musicians determined to create an unprecedented experience. And that is what The Last of Us 1 continues to be after all this time. One of the best story-driven epics the medium has to offer. So why didn't they milk Troy Baker like...
That's the argument, yeah.
The Last of Us 1 didn't really need a sequel. I mean, it ended on a kind of ambiguous point where they could pretty much go anywhere, and it could open up to a sequel, but it didn't really need one. It was a complete story from beginning, middle, and end.
Now, a good writer who would love to jump into this universe would obviously like to do a sequel. That would be an easier way for a new talent to come in and do their own take on a genre which has been done to death. So if they were to do a zombie horror survival story, great, but you got to really know how to write and build that up. You can't just go in blindly. You can't just start doing 180s. You can't start introducing characters for the sake of it, which they kind of did. So you have to know how to work your audience and know what they expect. And I don't like this mentality that, with Ryan Johnson, I'm going to just subvert all the things you expect. It's like, no, that's not going to fly. People are going to get pissed off. And the way they piss people off is so obvious. And it's so obvious why they want you to like the character. So
I'm going to make people angry. What? Why are people angry?
Yeah, it's like it's so easy to screw up writing. Like it's so simple. It's. Would you rather watch a professional gymnast do excellently, or screw up the first 2 seconds and then perform wonderfully, or try to perform wonderfully?
So the gymnast messes up on purpose. I subvert your expectations.
Yeah.
Like Ryan Johnson's whole mentality is, I'm going to do something illegal. Wait, why am I going to jail? I don't understand why.
Yeah, it's like the I can't remember the year the Summer Olympics, but it was actually Russian judges judging figure skating, and you could tell the Russians were getting higher scores because even if they made a mistake, they still scored high. It was like, that's strange. Why is that happening? So you saw it with the female as well as the male athletes in figure skating. Sure, was that Winter Olympics? Yeah. So there is a bias in these critiques of scorers and what have you for different reasons that you can't quite grasp until you actually pay attention. Okay, John Lemley, thank you, sir. Again, awkwardly implementing Chappelle jokes to make your content seem better and more relatable is always a great sign of things to come. You know what? This just rolls off my back. Whatever comedy they want, I'm totally fine with. I'm waiting for the points to come across. So she's popular for a reason. She knows her audience. She's working it. Bravo. Ricing Ground 3. I don't understand the hate Abby is getting. Okay. You get to partake as an androgynous buff woman, all right, who brutally beat up a gay woman and a Jewish pregnant woman. Take that, gamers. Stunning and brave. That's the surface level reason. I mean, that's just scratching the surface of why people dislike Abby. But yeah, you could definitely interpret that as why would they dislike Abby as well. Okay. 1 minute in. We're doing well.
Like they milked Nolan North and make 3 more games starring Joel. Why did they kill off a potential cash cow whom they undoubtedly love just as much as we do? The reason
is because Neil Druckmann, because he wanted to do it his way. That's the only reason. There's no other reason.
They wanted shock.
There's the dramatic value, there's the storytelling value, but it's just because he wanted to do it the same way Ryan Johnson wanted to do it his way. He didn't care about Disney and what they wanted in particular. He was going to do his own thing. He did it. With Naughty Dog, they're like, we're not even sure if we're going to do a sequel. We probably don't even care. They're just doing whatever they want. They have enough money. They've made a big, giant library of games that everyone loves. They are creatively free to do whatever they desire. So why don't they do whatever they desire? The problem is, once you get that freedom, you screw it up. You think, I can do anything. I could reach for the moon. And visually, technically, it looks great. It works great. There's very few bugs I saw reported. There are definitely bugs, though. Very funny bugs, but not as much as you might think, like a Fallout 76 or various other Fallout games. But they're there. So they did this because they wanted to. And they had too much authority. I don't think the writers were on point. I don't think the editors cared. And apparently there were 3 creative designers behind the whole thing. So Druckmann and 2 other guys. And it's strange that they all agreed on stuff, even though they said they argued a lot. And you have to wonder, what points did these people argue for and they would never budge on? It would have to have been the Abby character that they said, no, we're going to do it this way.
Someone said the girlfriend reviews deleted comments with valid criticism, and if that's true, oof.
I would have to check because I left some criticism on her video, so I'll go check it when we're done.
You can. The thing is, if you're going to find it, you're going to have to find it through someone else's channel, because when someone deletes or removes a comment, you can still see it, but everyone else can't. So yeah, I remember learning that when we were talking to what was it, Make Stuff.
Shiny, are you far away from the microphone again? Like, are you walking around the room? What's going on?
No,
I
turned it down because I was worried about audio. I was worried about background noise.
Oh, okay.
So anyway, yeah. Did you hear what I said though?
The last 10 seconds, where's Shiny? Where are you?
Okay. So, fuck, I remember what I was saying now. Yeah, when you go into YouTube, when someone deletes your comment, then you can still see it, but everyone else can't.
Really?
So you have to check it through someone else's account, or you'd have to log out to look for it, and you'd probably have to find it through recent.
Okay, I think what you mean is they hide users' comments from the channel. They don't know you've hid them. I see what you're saying. If you delete it, it's deleted. It's actually gone.
I just remember when we were looking at make stuff. I remember that.
Oh yeah.
Was it what was his name? I think it was Voice, or at least it was a Voice or someone else was trying to look for my comment, but they couldn't find it, but I could still see it. So I think that it sort of had the same happen to him, where Voice couldn't see the comment that I couldn't see the comment he made, but he could. So, and I remember when I did a quick experiment, I think even deleting it still allowed it to you to see it. So I did a quick experiment with it.
Interesting. I didn't know that. Okay. I always have the two options on my channel. I approve just about every comment, unless it's spam.
Mm-hmm.
So, but there is the option to hide user from channel, which I assume just means no one else can see it. But could be also with deletion. I don't know. That's one way to keep people who are constantly spamming aware that their comments are going through, even though the rest of the world doesn't see it. So that's a YouTube thing, not a. I mean, it could be part of the spam filter, and she may not even see it or not even care, or it's actively hiding it from the channel. So, yeah, anyone go to the video and see if my comment's there. That would make sense. Yeah.
Well, I can go there right now and have a look.
Alrighty, let's keep on going though.
Is to really make you feel like a girl who just saw her father get murdered with a golf club.
Wow, what a bold idea. They want you to feel something. No kidding. What a see this scene where a person dies. Do you feel anything? It's like, yeah.
Yeah, did you feel
I
something
am a
when you
robot.
brutally murdered your favorite characters?
I have no feelings. Oh, Druckmann, what a visionary, what a once-in-a-generation visionary. I'm going to make a piece of art that makes people feel something.
Smud, I have a question. How long ago did you post your comment?
2 days, maybe 3.
Oh, that's going to be difficult. Because there's people still posting on right now where it's like there's only posted a few hours ago.
Yeah, so guys, whenever you have a story of premeditated first-degree murder, that's a big deal, okay? You will probably have a reaction to stuff like that, even if it's strangers or maybe someone in your community or even in your country. If you see a news headline like first-degree murder, like, holy crap, really? And if you don't know that the difference is first degree is pretty much premeditated, so you planned this out. This was your idea. You went out of your house that day to buy a gun or whatever plot you had in your brain to go murder someone. That's Abby, okay? If it was like manslaughter, like she just accidentally killed Joel or something like that, that's a different story. But this is the worst of the worst, okay? That's why we have laws against these things. That's why we have lifetime prison sentences. So, kind of a big deal.
Performing this shocking, vile act in the prologue is not Naughty Dog giving you a slap in the face. It is Naughty Dog giving you a punch in the gut and a frog in the throat to form a powerful connection with the main character. If you were as mad as me...
Hey, how do we hate someone? We'll have them kill someone. Wow. What a novel approach to storytelling. Never saw that coming.
No one's ever done that before.
I have a question. If someone killed Luke Skywalker, is that like if they actually did come up and brutally murder them, is that bad because you're angry with the way they have killed them without any kind of respect or remorse? Like the story, it just doesn't give any shits.
Can you imagine an Empire, like the first 10 minutes, someone just stabs Luke in the back, and you're like, what? And then the story's about that guy?
We'll go even further. We'll do what happened to Icheb, where Luke Skywalker's just tied to a bed, and he's screaming as he's being dismembered, and there's blood everywhere. And then Han Solo just kind of comes in, kills everyone in the room, and then puts Luke Skywalker out of his misery because he's just too far gone.
And that's the first time we see Luke Skywalker in that entire series too. He was never featured before then. It's just, oh look, we found Luke Skywalker always being dismembered. Let's just kill him, I guess, put him out of his misery. And one of the really interesting and annoying things about this whole Last of Us 2 thing is that Druckmann did basically the basic stuff of writing and made himself out to be, oh, this is a masterpiece that no one has ever done before. Like it was so much arrogance and egotistical rhetoric going on here that this is a wonderful once in a lifetime video game that you'll never experience again. And as you've been pointing out, it's just we just made the character's supposed to hate, kill somebody that you love. It's basic stuff. Revenge story. Yeah, that's never been done before. Have the bad guy kill somebody the main character loves. Never been done before, surely. Post-apocalypse. Zombies. I mean, this is just a bunch of tools used in a regular, normal way. It's just spiced up with arrogance. And that's pretty much it. It's spiced up with arrogance.
I think most have even said it's not the fact they killed Joel, it's the way they killed him. Like without any kind of respect. It's quite stupid as well. It's like, oh well, I'm Tommy and this is Joel, and it's like, oh, it sounds like you've heard of it before, and all of a sudden, out of nowhere, shotgun brutally fucking murders him. It's like, oh wow, so much respect, so much care. The fact that it's just to get killed because they stupidly say their names out in public.
This is the equivalent of Just Right saying the bombers in The Last Jedi were weak because they got destroyed quickly. And that's a good thing because it's clear and obvious. And you're like,
that makes no sense.
It's like, yeah, it's like the surface level. It's good because it's so easy to understand. And I'm like, that it's a piece of crap that it's going to piss you off. Like, what do you mean it's good?
This piece of paper gets ripped in two very easily. And if we make a spaceship that's ripped in two very easily, then that means it's good.
Yeah, they're destroyed easily. Therefore, it's good. So a military force invested in ships and vehicles that get destroyed easily, are overly cumbersome, and are pretty much useless. That's good.
And think about this scene, the setup and the actual fallout of this scene. Everyone in the room is pretty much military. They know how to fight and kill. If you see someone kill your father figure, and then there's this Owen guy who tries to save Ellie, and he does get away with it, as well as Tommy. What do you think they're going to do? They're just going to go back to their lives and chill and go, oh, that was a thing that happened on the weekend. We lost Joel, and I got kicked in the head a few times, nearly died, got a concussion, etc., etc. It's like, no, they're going to come after you. It's the Wild West. They have every right and desire to do so. And that's what ends up happening. So this contrived series of events starts building up. And you're like, oh, okay, this is what this is. That's all. It's just a series of deaths you have to go through. Like, it wasn't even planned deaths. Like, I have to go to this guy and kill him. I have to go to that guy and kill him. Ellie just tries clues and tries finding people. And the first clue she finds is already someone who's dead. It's like, oh, I didn't get a chance to kill her. She wasn't even at the whatever her name was. I can't remember her name. Lara or whatever. She wasn't even at this scene. And she had all these arrows in her. And then later on, Ellie's like, I'm going to kill everyone even associated with that thing. And that's exactly what happens in gameplay. She murders entire cities of people loosely connected to the WLF or the actual WLF. It's crazy. It's over the top. Imagine Inigo Montoya, Master Swordsman, taking on an army. It's like, wait a second, that doesn't make sense. That doesn't sound believable.
Yeah, who do you think he is? Ito Ogami?
Well, no, exactly. But even then, that would be a huge journey. And this one is just a long, slow Metal Gear Solid ripoff. And not even having the same or as good mechanics as that game. Not to say it has to, but... And it's...
Yeah, there's something to say about character, and that I don't see what the problem is that everyone playing this game got upset that Joel got killed. What is wrong with that? What is wrong with people getting angry over that? Now, I brought up Lone Fun Cub, and the thing is, there's another one called Samurai Executioner. And do you think that would be boring? Because it's not about revenge or anything. It's not about revenge. It's not about anything really. It's about a historical story about a guy who just executed criminals. But the reason why it's so fantastic, why it's so interesting, is because the creators invested so much time and energy into fleshing out character. and not even just of the main character or the people that he interacts with on a regular basis, but even the criminals who end up dead by the end of the story. Even then, so you are sad, or you might be angry or relieved, and these criminals end up dead, but you know who they are. The characters of the criminals are normally fleshed out so well that you have some sort of emotional connection to them in one way or another, either negative or positive, and you feel something regardless. Now with Joel, you played as him. It wasn't like Joel was a side character or someone that ran alongside you as you played the main character. Joel was the main character in the previous game. So when you have a sequel, sure, like I said before, many times before, we don't. I think people could handle Joel's death in the second one, especially if you want Ellie to elevate to main character status. But you have to keep in mind that people care about Joel, and that you can't just throw it away just because, oh look, a shocker, oh look, he wanted to get you to hate this person. Kill Joel, sure, if you want to do that, but kill him in the right way. Have him die defending Ellie. Have him die some sort of noble death. A respectful death, exactly. That's why everyone hated the fact that Luke Skywalker died alone, a failure on a remote planet no one ever could find. These are legacy characters. Okay, yeah, you can do that because it's fiction, as they will most likely eagerly call out. But there are rules in fiction, and there are rules you do with character. And while you can do that freely, and obviously you can do that because it's your story, whatever, doesn't mean you should, especially if it's a main character. So, yeah, Joel, you can kill him, but kill him the right way. Kill him off respectfully. Keep his legacy respectful. It can be a violent death. It can be a brutal death, if you want to go that route. But have him die a noble death.
And that's very comparable to your first example of Lone Wolf and Cub, how finally Ito Agami dies. That is that's the end of the story, which is fine.
Yeah.
You expect it, but it's done so well.
Oh yeah, it's magnificent. Ito Agami dies even before you can actually finish his revenge. He actually doesn't get to accomplish his revenge. He fails in the end. Spoiler alert. But his son actually ends up killing Yagyu, because Yagyu's like, okay, I'm done with this. Because Yagyu lost everything to him. Like he's the only reason it was technically a Pyrrhic victory because he lost everything to kill Ito Agami.
You could make the argument they're of the same soul. I think that was the beginning of the story. He talks about his son and his father on the same path to Meifumado. They were doing the same, whether it's him or his son. It makes no difference who does the killing. The son is just as complicit as he is. He's just a little baby. That's the only difference. So by that time at the end, his son can actually pick up a weapon, but obviously, he can't do much with it.
Yeah, so that's why the son kills Yagi, but it's not like a battle or anything. Yagi just hugs him and allows the son to kill him.
Yes, but, beautiful story. Beautiful.
Yeah, it's fantastic. It beginning to end. But Ito Agami dies, and he's the main character, but he dies in such a wonderful way that it's acceptable.
All right, let's keep going. John Lemley, thank you, sir. Art made me feel something. 11 out of 10 masterpiece. Isn't one of the first things Sandra Cohen says about how artists strive to draw out feelings and affect the senses? Sandra Cohen was one of the mini bosses from the first BioShock, and he was one of those crazy maestro dudes who tortured his students.
I'm a Senator Armstrong fan myself.
Oh yeah.
Nano machine, son.
It's interesting listening to all the artsy, crazy psychopaths in stories. So, like the Joker example is one.
Well, it's because they're so close to real life.
Well, I mean, it's obviously a parody of what if you're given too much freedom, and that has to do with the theme of rapture, and whether it's technology or artistry, they can go to extreme lengths. But that's more of a social commentary than it is, something about real life, like the art of the game or the art of telling a story in a video game. So, good parallel. Not sure it totally equates, but I see what you're trying to say. Cool Man 229, thank you, sir. Hello, Greedo voice. Oh no. Okay, it doesn't make any sense, but how did it make you feel? Again, all these guys are the same. I can see what they're doing. And because it made me feel X, therefore it was successful. You're like, yeah, the jump scare was successful. Maybe the first time through, not the.
Another thing is that you can't make arguments through your own, about feeling. So you can say this works like that in a narrative. You can make that this, but you can't say this. You can't say, oh, this made me feel, because that's not a very good argument for the quality, because different people are going to feel different things. Yes, when you played Abby, you cared about her, but 90% of the audience didn't care. They hated her, and for very good reasons. So you can't really keep making these arguments out of, oh, well, it makes you feel this, so feel that. I felt this way. And you can't even make arguments about what they was trying to do, because, as I said yesterday, what they were attempting to do and what the outcome was were two very separate things, and you can't score something based on what they were trying to do, only what the actual finished project is.
I guess you could say that because a certain genre expects certain reactions, like zombie horror expects violence and gore and what have you, it's expected. Did they succeed? Of course they did. They had a very, very visceral experience, regardless of the theme or the content or the story. So yeah, you can definitely say on the surface level, this is a gory scene. It makes you hate whoever did this scene or put it together. You're right. Mm-hmm. But you could have said that of every single scene where there was violence as well. Because that's
you can make an argument about gore specifically, because there are certain elements of this scene which are there, which you could easily objectively classify as gore. Blood, guts, someone's getting their fucking face smashed in, brutalism as this guy gets fucking shotgunned in the leg. Is being maimed almost.
Right, so if you look at if you want to use the intention or premise of the creator of a story, did they succeed in telling the story? Well, yes, I would say they did, because we know what the intention was. They wanted to have people dislike this story or this storyline, or this character at least in the storyline. And that's what they were going for. The same with Rian Johnson. He wanted people to dislike The Last Jedi. You're like, okay, this is what you made, buddy. So that's that. And we're going to have all this feedback. And I'm still waiting for someone to take on any of the criticism. Obviously, it takes a week or two for fanboys and all the not necessarily the shills, but just anyone with a critical eye who liked the thing to respond to other people. And I've yet to hear one. I haven't even seen any, whether they're any good or not. Maybe they're out there now. But people criticizing the critics who said this story is bad. I haven't seen it. So I will be waiting.
A couple of people have made jabs at all the people that came out when the leaks were coming out. And then making jabs at them is like, oh, it's their fault the game failed because no one bought it.
The game didn't fail. It did the most sales of any other game in PS4's history, apparently. But that doesn't make it that was like the argument before the game was released. Oh, there's all these pre-orders on Amazon, and I was like, yeah, and what's your point? It's a popular brand from a well-respected game as well as a well-respected studio, or famous studio, not necessarily well-respected anymore because of its crunch stories and the high turnout or turnover. So, but that's all ancillary. I'm not even talking about that at all. I don't want to get into that. Let's just keep going.
As sick as me, or as heartbroken, well then congratulations, you are now Ellie. The blood running cold in your veins, the soul leaving your body, and the face that may haunt you forever are a testament not only to the efficacy of video games as artistic expression, but a testament to the greatness of a man who we knew for a mere 15 hours on a television screen. And if all you can say to Abby during this moment is,
Bitch, I'll never forgive you for this.
then Naughty Dog has successfully set you and Ellie both on a path to revenge.
No,
But make
because you're
no
supposed
mistake,
to forgive her. The whole point is that you're supposed to forgive her for what she's done, but most people don't. They still hate her.
Well, I wouldn't say that you're supposed to forgive her. You should at least try and identify with her through the 10 hours you get with her, because they're forcing you to. It's like you have to play as her. You have to learn her story. You have to go through her shoes. So
No,
whether
they are though, because by the end, Ellie's, she just gives up, and it's like, oh well, Ellie supposedly forgave Abby, but I don't. Never mind.
Yeah, no, this is a very subjective experience playing Abby, and this is what a lot of people who liked the game, they said they started off, I hated Abby, and then they grow to like her, because that's the point. That's what they're trying to get you to do. But the average person who says, I can't forgive you, you killed Joel. Like that's the simplest response. Because we know Joel, we like Joel, we are Joel, and we see him get killed. So this is the problem with the narrative. They don't know how to pull that trigger properly. They fired too early, which was kill Joel. No one cares that he was killed. It's how he was done, how quickly, and the lack of build up toward it.
Exactly. And I still think because it's a video game, now if this were a movie, which I know they're trying to emulate, but if this were a movie, it would be understandable that the characters can do their own thing. But this is a video game. And considering all the pompous rhetoric around this video game, how deep and how once in a lifetime it was, and how everything was about revenge and violence, and how violence and revenge is bad. Considering it's a video game, I still argue that if that was the point, that was their intention, then the player should have had the choice to either kill Abby or to spare her at the end. And then you have the resulting ending. I have two endings because that's what she was wanting so badly.
I think people would have enjoyed the game a lot more as well if you had the option to kill Abby.
Or had the option. Because what I've heard is so far is that the game doesn't give you any choices really at all. So it's saying that they force you to kill dogs. They force you to do this. They force you to do all the bad things. Now, that's not guilt on me. That's guilt on the player. That's guilt on the character, not me as a player. And I always bring up, every time I talk about Last of Us 2, I always bring up this War of Mine. Because this War of Mine is exactly what Last of Us 2 wanted to do, but infinitely better. Because it actually does what it's supposed to be doing. It just presents a scenario, and then you yourself choose to do the bad things. That's it. It gives you a choice to do the bad things or not to do the bad things. But usually you do bad things. You go into gray morality. That's what the whole game is about. And if Last of Us 2 gave the player more agency, if they allowed us to, like maybe, for example, resources are scarce, because they were scarce in the last game, especially if you played on a higher difficulty. So what if it was scarce resources in the world, but if you killed maybe an innocent person who's lying injured on the ground, you could steal his backpack and gain a lot more resources. You could do that, or you could spare him or help him out. Then you can have that violence is wrong, or you can, you have that opportunity to make that decision. And so if those continue to run throughout the game, and you get to see the results of that, like instead of saying, we're going to make you kill this dog. Oh, look, you killed the dog that we made. You forced you to kill the dog. Oh, no, you killed the dog. Did you know that it played fetch once? Like, okay. It'd be way better if you got to see these things play out. Show me, don't tell me. So it would be a lot better if the character... Now, I say a lot better, and this is relative to what they stated they wanted to do. What they stated they wanted this game to do. And it would have been a lot more relevant to the core of their story, of their intentions, if they allowed the player to make these decisions. Put the scenario there. Present us with the scenario. Should we kill this dog? Should we not kill this dog? Should we rob this person? Should we not rob this person? And then, once we make those decisions, follow up with background. Follow up with the results of that. Maybe gameplay-wise, we kill this guy, we steal his backpack, we get the resources. Easy, fun, whatever. And then later on, we find his daughter or something, and she's looking for him, or they find his daughter living somewhere in some other community or whatever, and we have to... then we're hit with it that, wow, we do have our actions in this world have consequences. And then we get to see it that, wow, that was bad. And we get to see, maybe their family falls apart or something. And it's going to be a little harder to set those things up. That's what they said they wanted to do. That's exactly what they said they wanted to do. They wanted to show us the consequences of our actions. So that would have given the player more agency. That would have shown us that we had consequences in the world. Now you can leave him to die, and he dies, but you wouldn't have that guilt later on. Or you can help him, and you can see maybe later on that the family has been reunited, and that would teach us that it's better to help your fellow man even in this dire situation. And then, of course, at the end, ending the whole thing with choosing to spare Abby or choosing to let her spare her or kill her. That would
have probably resolved the majority of arguments. To have that one choice, to give players the option.
Yeah, at the very least, that one choice.
Yeah, it would, because obviously people are going to be conflicted. So why not give a narrative, which is is going to be conflicted, the players the option to do X or Y, at least at the end. There's other games that are much less conflicted, like The Witcher 2, which gives you all sorts of little choices throughout the story, including whether or not to kill the villain of the story, which is like this guy who's posing as you and the Kingslayer or whatever he's called. Like that wasn't even necessary as far as I was concerned. But the fact that CD Projekt Red was cognizant of like, hey, you know what? Some people might not want to kill this guy because it's a fellow Witcher. You understand his story. You got to know him as the story went on. You didn't have to, which was a great option, which had a little bit more bearing on the third game, but it was just a nice touch to the player. Whereas in this game, screw the player. This is my story. I said so. This is how it's going. Which I don't know why they bothered to do that. Probably just following the formula of the first game, I guess. That would make more sense. Yeah, I get it. But if you know something is divisive and you're making a video game, yes or no is a very good option.
I think they also give the opportunity to have another playthrough, but just pump up the replayability a little. For
sure.
Because as of right now, it's just as far as I know, you play through once, you're done. It's just one and done. But if you had at least that choice at the very end, everyone will say, "Okay, I'm going to kill Abby. Okay, now I'm going to go through it again and take a look at the nuance. Now that I've had my, I have my catharsis. Let me go ahead and go through it again, and I'll take a look at everything. Maybe I'll spare her the second time."
Yeah, compare that to like a Fallout game or a very, wouldn't say linear, but a very focused game like Chrono Trigger. You can play those games dozens of times over. Multiple endings, multiple paths, fantastic games, totally different. One's on a Super Nintendo, the other one's on the PC, 10 years later. Fantastic titles, loved by everyone over. This is a divisive narrative. You're just pissing people off, guys. Okay. All right. I love this screen we paused on because I'm going to talk about it for the next 10 minutes. But let's read some super chats because I see them waiting, and then we'll get into the video soon. So John Lemley. Okay, great. He's clarifying what he said previously. My point was if a disillusioned hack like Sandra Cohen still understood art is meant to draw out emotion, so should everyone else. It shouldn't be an accomplishment just to have emotion. It should be for how well it's done. This is an interesting idea of aesthetics or a philosophy of aesthetics when you're talking about art or any kind of pleasure gained from art. It's not the fact that a piece of art can arouse an emotion within you. It's whether or not whatever is aesthetically pleasing has the capacity to do it at all and on how many levels. So even if it doesn't work for you on one level, it could work for someone else on another level. And that's why we look at Mozart or the greats, sculptures, Michelangelo works. There's something there from a different angle you could hear or see that works for you. And that's the beauty of classic art or art that stands the test of time, like Shakespeare. We always reference Shakespeare, even though there was Homer and Hesiod and other guys before him, which did just as good drama in certain cases. But because it was consumable at a level for people nowadays, I guess because of the English language proliferation across the planet, I don't know, we can appreciate those stories better and understand them from whatever angle that, whatever levels that Shakespeare put in there. So that is what I see as a philosophy of aesthetics. It's not just for one audience, it's for everyone, and there's multiple levels of pleasure. I'm trying to give the analogy of food, and I could do it right now, of mushrooms.
Go ahead. That's the best ones.
Mushrooms. Not everyone likes mushrooms, but there's some which are creamy. You got some cream, some that are sweet, some that are salty. There's earthy flavors. There's shiitake, which are very earthy. So you have this range. Imagine having a mushroom dish of whatever, steak, mushroom, salad, I don't care. But you have every mushroom in that dish. Someone's going to hate one of those mushrooms, but there's a greater chance of someone who would order the dish, because obviously you wouldn't order a mushroom dish if you didn't want mushrooms. Someone is going to like mushrooms on one of those multiple layers of flavor of mushroom that you put into that dish. So that's when I talk about what is aesthetically pleasing, what is aesthetically effective in beauty or in pleasure in the philosophy of aesthetics. Anyway, good. Thanks for the clarity. I appreciate it. Sandra Cohen is an insane person, and it's hard to understand whether you play the game and just see him as a mini-boss or listen to all the dialogue that he spouts off. But BioShock should be played by everyone. There's a great example of a game which you can appreciate the gameplay, you can appreciate the voice acting, you can appreciate the narrative, you can love the design elements if you just like having a city under sea, the gameplay, the gunplay, the superpowers, the philosophy of objectivity from Ayn Rand. So there's lots of creativity. There's lots of things to respect and appreciate, and it's all positive. everything from BioShock. It's not perfect. It's not, there's some glitches. There's some of the gameplay is a little broken. But there's the gameplay you can go melee combat, you can go range, there's the story, there's the voice acting, there's all the backstories of all the other characters in the world. There's layers of quality, layers of pleasure, layers of things to appreciate. That's what we talk about. Okay, that's enough BioShock. We got to get back to The Last of Us. The Tomoya Nagase, that's got to be a Japanese reference to some anime, I don't know. But thank you, sir. The death of a beloved character can be done really well, like in Mass Effect 3, Death of Mordin. Yes, I agree. When he decides to sacrifice himself to correct a past mistake. Exactly. That's a beautiful example. Because
that scene is honestly extremely beautiful. Like the way his final words, had to be me. Someone else might get it wrong.
Exactly. There's 3 ways that you could look at that scene being beautiful. Because the first game, or rather the second game, he was so gung-ho about his idea being right. Third game changes his mind. And he explains why. Well, you can kill him. You can stop him. You have the freedom to stop him as a tragic hero. And you can make him a villain. Because you're being more villainous than he is in that case. So you're giving agency to the player to say, you know what? All that drama bullshit, I'm not following that. I got my own story. I got to stop the Krogan from taking over the galaxy again. I'm not going to sacrifice my deal with the other groups who are doing this with me. So that's a beautiful thing, which can be taken multiple ways. Now, the interesting thing about that is the majority of players did not shoot Mordin, like 90%. I was like 85, 90%. I think there's a stats on that specific moment because it was so controversial to give that option because no one really wanted to shoot Mordin. But then Mac Walter says, well, what if we do it? Even though I hate the idea, what if we give players that freedom? And they did that. They gave that freedom. And as we know, only 13%? I can't remember the number of players actually had Renegade playthroughs. So the majority of players wanted to be good guys. They want to be diplomatic. And just to go through the effort. As much as we hate these games,
give players an agency and choice.
Wow.
What a novel concept.
As much as they spent half the production, maybe 40% of the production on Renegade options, and not too many people use them, goes to show you that as much as I hate BioWare, they at least understood their audience to some capacity, which had to do with the game design concepts of the first game. So they had to keep that Paragon Renegade system going. And they watered it down until it became almost nothing in the third game. But they at least gave you the freedom. They at least gave you the option. Which is, pretty cool. And I guess that's part of Tuchanka, as well as the Rannoch arcs, which were the best parts of the game anyway. So it shows. Last of Us, Part 2, purely linear, purely a gore fest to make you hate all the characters.
There's so many examples you can probably go to where a main character, or at least a side character, any kind of character you care about, is when they die in a story, it doesn't make you angry. It makes you sad. It's like, oh my god, this character I care about is being killed. It's like, oh, they're gone. It makes you. I think the modern comparison is actually pretty good because a lot of people, including myself, cared very deeply about Mordin, and his death was like mixed with the music and everything. There was tears. But when you play this and when you watch this, it's not a sad, oh no, they're gone. It's how fucking dare they? They killed him in such a way where it's not respectful at all. It feels like it's pissing all over him. And you can have characters die in this brutal, horrific way. But usually, if they're being killed in this way, it's by an irredeemable character who you want dead. So let's say, I don't know, we'll come up with a theoretical character. The character who's evil, he's evil for the sake of being evil, and then by the end of the story, you kill them, and you have your ending. You have your revenge. But again, with the way they're trying to handle it, where it's like, see, it was all reasonable. Oh, you're actually supposed to care. It's like, this is not the way to handle it at all.
Yeah, as even the girlfriend review says, it's like a gut punch to the stomach. It's like, yeah, we get it. Shock value, we get it.
But did Morden's death feel like a gut punch?
No,
Did Lee's death from Walking Dead feel like a gut punch?
it felt very sad,
Mm-hmm.
and that was the clear intention. Now, if you actually shoot him in the back, that feels like a gut punch, but that's you doing it. That's your choice,
Mm-hmm.
and you expect that. So it's like, okay, this is what I wanted. This is exactly what I want specifically, and that's beautiful. Even if it's a sad reaction, but that's the path you wanted to take, and that's good that you're allowed to do that. It's kind of like watching the heart rate or heart death attacks in America as a result of obesity. It's like, that's sad, but it's also beautiful that they have the freedom to live that way and die the way they choose.
It's beautiful that they have the choice to be a beast.
Essentially, that's freedom for you. If you're going to have all those rallies about living the way you want to live, you should be able to die the way you want to die. And if you want to do it through food,
there's no better freedom than the freedom to destroy yourself.
it's the Irish way of thinking. There you go. Made possible in America. Thank you, George Washington. Thank you.
While revenge is the plot, it is not the story. Analogous to the first game.
Oh no! What a scary thing to say. Okay, so technically,
Death of Ellie's father, death of Abby's father. Ellie and Abby's didn't. What?
so what she says, the plot is not the story. That's true. No one element of a story is the story. The story is everything. But you're kind of like, it's like taking the engine out of a car. It's like, yeah, the plot is not really the whole car, but you kind of need one. And it's kind of the point of the car to get it to where it needs to go. So, Death of Ellie's father, I guess, is chapter 1. I don't know what these numbers work, but she's trying to imply that in between those events, there's more stuff. It's like, great, you're right. There's all kinds of things in a story. There's everything in a story. That's what you're talking about when you
Is
say
it supposed to be chapters or something?
maybe, but you still need something to yearn for, and not whether or not you get it or not, it's how you get it or not. So the idea of whether Abby dies or not is not too important. It's how and why she does or doesn't die. So imagine it's not Abby. Imagine it's a thief. He's a master thief, and he's planning this heist, and he gets to the end, he finds the jewel, and he's about to grab it, and he just walks away without any reasoning. And then there's a flashback of him talking to his dead partner or wife, and they talked about the kid they lost, and that was that. And you're like, what are you talking about? What does that have anything to do with you stealing a jewel? It's this bizarre explanation that does not connect the goal of the plot. Sorry. So if this is a plot of murder or revenge, you better get a body at the end of your story. You better get a payoff. Because if you don't get the golden fleece, if Poirot doesn't figure out who killed who, you have wasted everyone's time. It's that simple. So yes, the plot is not the story, but it's a huge freaking chunk. And it guides every event in the story from A to B to C to Z.
Like, I think a good way to look at it is again where you're saying it's a story. Like, there's so many elements that kind of go into it, including things like world building and all sorts.
I think one of the most basic rules in fiction that has been stated by, I forgot who he was, but he was an author, and he said the number one rule in fiction is write a story in which a complete stranger does not feel that the time has been wasted. That's the main. He has several other rules, but he kind of discounts the other rules and is saying that at the very end that you can bend the rules, you can break the rules, but the one that must remain solid and true is the first one. Write a story in which a complete stranger does not feel as if their time has been wasted.
If you're going for the golden fleece, you got to get the golden fleece, and if you don't get the golden fleece, you have to give a damn good reason why.
Yeah, exactly.
You can't just say, "Oh, there's a flashback, and it made me feel like not getting the golden fleece anymore." It's like, what?
And it can't be. It's not about getting the golden fleece. It's about the friends made along the way. It doesn't work.
No,
it doesn't work.
It's not about the destination. It's about the journey. It's like, no, it's pretty much about the destination. That's what we're doing.
Hope is like the sun doesn't work either. Okay, hope is not like the sun. I can't say that. It's not an excuse. It's not a good enough excuse.
So I suppose one episode of one thing that could be compared to is something like Avatar: The Last Airbender. There is an episode where Katara has to, she wants revenge for her mother's death, and she goes through this entire thick, charade, this whole 20 minutes episode, trying to find, who killed her mother, and by the end, she ends up forgiving the guy who was responsible for her mother's death because she felt, she felt, it's not worth it, her time. But then again, no matter how you feel about that ending to that episode, because in the end of the episode, nothing is really achieved other than this character letting go of the past. This is not handled in like the way the Katara forgives the guy. It is not kind of just out of nowhere. It is like she feels it's just killing him like this is wrong, and there is a bit more fleshed out there, and it is not the whole goal of the series. If this, the whole goal of this story here is to get revenge. The whole point of Avatar is completely different. In this 20-minute episode, the outcome of that doesn't really reflect the rest of the series. So if the entire series of Avatar was getting revenge, and by the end of it you didn't get revenge, you'd be like, well, what the fuck is this? And I think I've already said this before, but the main problem is that this is the only story they have going on, and if you don't have a proper resolution to this ending, then you've got nothing else to rely on, because Avatar has the actual ending to rely on for its continuing goal, its continuing motivation, its continuing ending. You say what you want about the ending. I know there's a lot of conflicting opinions, but still, that episode does not, because that is not the main plot of the entire series. It does not have any that big of an impact. People don't care that much.
Yeah, and that example about Katara and that story in particular, it's technically a revenge story. She goes off to get revenge on the guy who killed her mother, but it's not really a revenge story, boldface. It is actually a story about Katara changing her character. So it's Katara she's always the nice one, the merciful one. Yeah, she can bend the rules a little bit. She's not really she's kind of rebellious. Oh, she's very rebellious, but at the end of the day, she is caring and compassionate. That's why she's that kind of the healer of the group. She's caring and compassionate, and for her to go out on a mission to murder somebody is very, very against the character that she usually played. And it's understandable why she did that, because she's so angry that this guy killed her mother. I mean, it's like we hate Abby because she killed Joel, and Ellie hates Abby because she killed Joel. She killed her father, and so when Katara goes, it's not the whole journey. It's not a revenge story. It's us. The story is. The question, is Katara going to go through with it or not? Is she going to commit murder, or is she going to remain true to who she actually is? That's the main one. That's the main point of the story. Is Katara going to remain true to herself, or is she going to sully her hands forever by ending someone's life in cold blood, be it revenge or not? So that's what it all revolved around. Now, Ellie versus Abby, that whole story is not, is Ellie going to end up killing somebody, because Ellie, she has a larger body count than John Wick by the end of the first game. So it's not whether or not she's going to kill or not, because that is in her nature. It's kind of old hat for her at that point. But the whole story with Abby versus Ellie, it's just that. It's just a revenge story. We just want to see Ellie go after Abby so that she can get revenge on Abby, and she tears through so many people to get there. And that's where it is. So that's why I'm saying that there should have been more agency with the player to go a more peaceful route, to spare lives, to not actually have to go through and kill a bunch of people. That way we get a choice.
You can do that with games as well, because you say, oh well, the game design doesn't allow for you to do this because you have to be killing people. It's like, well, think of games like Hitman. Hitman, you can either go through killing absolutely everyone in the game if it incentivizes you not to do that, or you can selectively kill the people you need to kill efficiently.
Yeah, and it's far more fun, in fact, to kill them efficiently and to not get caught, not get the bodies found, things like that. So even though the game is called Hitman, it actually actively encourages you not to commit excessive murders.
Another thing is with the comparison. Another difference is that the audience doesn't care that much about Katara's mother. They care about Katara. So when the Katara's mother is not avenged, that is not something which is conflicting the audience. That we care more about the character herself. And again, as you explained a lot better than I did, that it's kind of about, is she going to conflict her original character of who she is? Because she's going out of rage, and this isn't a part of who she is. But yeah, so this is the character we generally care about. You know, we love this character. We are angry for this character's death. You know, we're not sad. We're not anything else. We want this. We're angry. I think that's the best way to put it.
Well, the thing is, I don't like she didn't define what a plot was, so she assumed what plot was, or what everyone thinks what a plot is. I always follow the EM Forcer's definition. I don't know if I could pop this on the screen for you guys. Let me just see if I can do that. I've said it before, though, on this channel, so you probably already know it. Let's see. There it is. Okay, so this is the basic understanding of a plot. The king died, and then the queen died because of grief. So it's the reason and why and goal, or why and goal of a story, essentially. So we go back to this. The death of Abby's father is the inciting incident for Abby to become this bulked up lady who goes after Joel. I don't know what Abby's denouement is all about. Her story just ends. And then we get a flashback with Elliot when she's back on the farm. So I don't think that's a very good... I mean, it is an ending. It's not necessarily a denouement, depending on your definition. So I don't know. I mean, this is great because we can look at these points and say, okay, well, Girlfriend's Basement. Is the death of Ellie's father told well? Why? How? Is the death of Abby's father told well? Why and how? And we can keep going. But she just says, it makes you feel X. It's like, that's not a reason why something is good. It's like a comedian making you laugh. It's like, well, what's the style of comedy? What was the joke about? How did he perform it? Because I can tell you a joke from the same comedian, but I won't be able to make you laugh. There's techniques for delivery and timing that I do not possess that other comedians would have. So this whole understanding without definitions, without defining her terms, always drives me nuts. This is with anyone. But we're assuming we all know what plot is by their definition. So, oh, we got a super chat. Let me just go back to that. 1 second. Okay. Oh, Joe Crazy. I'm going to clog my arteries with deep fried Oreos. That's a thing. Like a real American is what the founders intended. I would agree. You are correct.
Well, yeah, you have the freedom to fuck yourself over. So, yeah, by all means.
Okay, let's keep going.
In which was a cure the zombie apocalypse cliche, and the story was about the effects of Joel's grief. The second game's plot is you killed my father.
Let's just rewind that.
How come this the cure the zombie apocalypse thing? Why is that suddenly bad and cliche? But the cliche revenge story that ends with surprise, the main character not killing off the bad guy, as of one of two endings, you either kill the bad guy or you don't. Why is that?
The better explanation of it isn't go cure the zombie apocalypse. The better explanation is get Ellie to location where she needs to be, because that's all that Joel, the character you're playing as, cares about. Joel doesn't care about a cure. They care about getting this girl to this place, and that's it. So it's not really about getting the cure, and I don't even agree that it's that's cliche, because how many other zombie apocalypse stories can you think of that it's about curing the zombie apocalypse?
I don't know.
It's not. The Walking Dead isn't really about curing the apocalypse. Shaun of the Dead's not about curing the apocalypse. I can't really think of many zombie titles right now, but a lot of them aren't even about it.
Sometimes it is a factor where it's like cure the zombie apocalypse. We gotta do that. Well, and Last of Us 2, that is the main story for the most of the game, but it kind of changes it up on there. It's not cliche at the very end because they do it correctly. They build it up where it's Joel. Okay, Joel says, "Okay, I'm going to deliver Ellie so she can go, and the doctors can use her to cure the plague." And then at the very end, they've already connected so much over the course of the game. And he says, "No, I'm not going to let this happen."
I don't know what I could
so
contribute.
downtrodden, so done with humanity that he decides to end it all. He decides to end that whole the hope of humanity of curing the plague, and just rush in there and save Ellie. He'd rather have Ellie alive than sacrifice her for the cure. That is the whole reason why it's a good story. And there's nothing wrong with cliche. It's how you use it that's either bad or good. And The Last of Us 1, they used it in a very good way. So even if the scenario is cliche, the whole story and the ending are not, because it's about character. They developed the character of Joel, and they definitely developed the character of Ellie throughout the course of the game, and they definitely developed that relationship. And by that time that the ending comes, you are right there with Joel wanting to save Ellie, because you'd rather have Ellie than have her sacrifice for the rest of mankind. It's not cliche, really. It's because it's kind of like a stereotype that evolves into a three-dimensional character. This was I guess you could say it was a cliche to begin with, but it was a cliche cure the zombie apocalypse scenario that evolved into something much, much more.
Yeah,
Okay.
that's probably a bad way of putting it.
I want to rewatch this part, but let's just read a super chat from John again. Shout out to Neil for helping Ryan Johnson no longer have the most infuriatingly disappointing movie of the past 10 years. Yeah, it's pretty much a movie.
Congratulations, you're a fuckwit.
It's just, I don't know, 12 times longer than the actual movie. So you have to sit through it all and go through it all and play through it all. Like, ugh. Yay. Thanks, Neil. Okay, I want to read here. You said something about the zombie apocalypse cure not being a thing or important. Like, what? What was that about?
As you said, the first game was just a cliche cure the zombie apocalypse scenario.
Darn.
So
game.
we've fallen into that whole, we have to elevate the one I like by stomping on the one I don't like.
Jeez.
Where have we seen that before?
Yeah, we have to stomp on Luke Skywalker so Rey can look better. Now we got to stomp on Last of Us 1 so Last of Us 2 can look better.
That's a very scary analogy to see that Abby is uplifted because Joel got killed. Because it's like, what? Imagine if Rey killed Luke. Like, oh my god.
She almost did.
That would piss everyone. Oh
him.
boy.
She beat him up. She beat up Luke.
She assaulted him with a stick and then a lightsaber.
In which the plot was a cure the zombie apocalypse cliche, and the story was about the effects of Joel's grief. The second game's plot is a you killed my father, prepare to die cliche, and the story is about the effects of Ellie's grief.
Okay, so here she's combining theme with story and then juxtaposing it to the plot. You're like, okay, I hope you know what you're talking about.
Yeah, in both ways, in both scenarios, there's nothing wrong with it being a cliche. It's how you develop it later on. Yeah, revenge story is cliche, but it's how they developed it. And The Last of Us 1 is actually a good way of seeing how a cliche develops into something more powerful and profound in a good way. And Last of Us 2 is kind of like how not to do that.
You know, I give The Last of Us 3 out of 10 fingers.
Isn't that what Abby lost? No, 3 out of 10 wombs.
Yeah, of course.
Yeah, there's a lot of wombs destroyed in this making of this game. Oh. How many babies did Ellie kill? I'm wondering, because if they
I said this before in Metal Gear Solid 4, but
sorry, I got this wrong. 2 out of 10 fingers. Sorry, I give.
Metal Gear Solid 4 actually has an orphan counter, so every time you kill somebody, it counts how many orphans you made. They should add that somewhere in here.
Yeah, if they're letting what was her name? I can't remember the pregnant lady she kills. If they're letting someone like her out into the field, imagine all the other women they're letting out into the field.
How desperate are they that they have to have a pregnant woman out in the combat?
It's
so, why the hell are you thrusting your pregnant belly against a fence as you climb over it?
They send a pregnant woman out into combat.
Oh yeah, Mel.
That's ridiculous. It's like how
No, she's actively like, no, I want to be out here.
Yeah, and
that's like comedically over the top. It's
they-
like might as well have Abby smash a puppy's head open or something.
yeah, they clear her for combat. She's allowed to go out. They cleared her for some reason, but you see, she's at least like 5 months pregnant. You're like, who the hell cleared this? And a zombie
Yeah, you don't clear a
apocalypse.
pregnant woman for combat. It doesn't matter how much she screams or yells. You don't clear her for combat. She's pregnant. And then she gets killed. Might as well have the Abby's crew just steal candy from babies and stuff too. Why not? Or tiny
moments as
train
well,
tracks.
where she's like, she climbs over a fence and her belly is being crushed against the fence. It's
This
like,
is- I think-
holy fucking shit.
There's a little medium ground here. This is ridiculous. It's like comedically over the top.
Now this is where
Drucker wanted me to take this.
This is where I see the agenda as clearly as possible. People would argue that it's Lev. It's like, not really. Lev could have shaved his head for any reason. They just wanted to play it up with the religious fundamentalist group. It's fine. But having a pregnant woman being empowered, I can do anything anyone else can do. It's like, no, you really, really can't. I know you physically can, but you really shouldn't, because you're not supposed to. Because you
It's
can
like, you're supposed
slip
to care
and
that Ellie killed her. And it's like, no, she's out in combat. She was trying to kill Ellie. No shit, Ellie's gonna kill her in self-defense. It's like, oh no, I killed a pregnant lady. It's like, she was trying to fucking kill you. What else are you supposed to do?
There's a lot of, like, you just say, okay, why would this ever happen? How would this ever happen in a story? And you can't imagine putting a pregnant woman into some sort of crisis where the setup is, oh, I'm cleared for combat duty. That implies there's a medical practitioner, there is a instructor of some sort of teacher who inspects like guns and people before they leave and say, okay, you know what? We got to clear you up, make sure you're okay for combat duty. You're probably not going to make it, but that's just not my call. We gotta ask a professional. And if a professional says, yeah, you're good, there's something wrong in the state of Denmark. There's someone is insane who did not explain this properly in the story.
I guess the guy who clears you for combat readiness was like a former editor at Marvel. They have to send it through. I'm not even going to take a look at it. Just send it through. It's greenlight everything.
Yeah, so there's a little bit of female empowerment going on here that is just hilarious. It's just, you can't believe it's true. If she wore like a vest...
Dead, doesn't she?
Sorry?
Doesn't she end up dead?
Yes, they all die pretty much. But
oh, good.
There's no armor on her. Like, she doesn't have a vest. I guess they don't have vests anymore. It's hard to find. Like, it would make some sense if she was covered up. But again, this is a zombie apocalypse. They have an active enemy who is attacking them within a kilometer of leaving their base. Like, they're waiting in lie. They're just sitting there going, okay. Oh, there's a patrol car. Let's jump them. You're like, what? And they're shooting at her. It's like, you're dead. Your baby's dead.
Wasn't the murder of pregnant women like an act of war so that the enemy wouldn't have any more offspring? You would think that being pregnant is not going to do you any favors. If the world of The Last of Us, the world of The Last of Us in general, is one of savagery and it's brutal. That's the whole that's the whole like focus of the first game. That's why Joel kind of becomes disenchanted with the rest of humanity, because all he saw, everyone just became brutal murderers. So being pregnant isn't really going to probably not going to spare you or save you any grief or give you any sort of advantage. It's probably going to actually make you a target, a bigger target, both metaphorically and realistically. Yeah.
Another thing, it's surely something that I kind of was explored a little bit with The Walking Dead, where the children and the next generation would be the most important to keep safe, because they're the only future this world is possibly going to have. After these people die, it's like, okay, nothing really after them. But if the children die, then there's nothing in the future. There's literally nothing. And in The Walking Dead, they often make sure that the children are safe above everything else, because they're very important.
Yeah, I think at the end of the day, rule number one here is don't send pregnant women to combat.
And expect us to believe it, that this is a thing.
Oh, but that's oppressive. How dare you oppress pregnant women?
It's just such an obvious, stupid storytelling idea. And
they start I would drink if I weren't pregnant. It's like, okay, so you're okay with thrusting your belly against a fucking fence, crushing it, and then you're okay with going into combat, getting shot, crawling on the ground, doing all this shit. Oh, but drinking, oh, well, that's too far.
The stuff that Abby gets into is like crazy guerrilla-style tactics and crawling on the ground and breaking down things and doors. It's really, this is a combat scenario. And no one in their right mind who is pregnant, even a month into their pregnancy, wouldn't even do this stuff. So you're going to get shot, you're going to get bitten, and then boom, both lives are dead because, again, zombie apocalypse. So it's just a silly, stupid thing. If Mel stayed at the base, it would have been totally fine. She could have taken a patrol car to get the Owens aquarium thing later. That would have been fine as well. But nope, gotta boost a pregnant woman over a one-story fence, whatever it was. Like, okay, fine, whatever.
It's like the writers forgot this is zombie apocalypse. Okay, it's not normal civilization. You don't have the freedom.
Have they ever told in their entire life? I don't
know. I mean, you don't have like hormone therapy readily available. You don't have gyms and protein drinks readily available. You don't have abortion clinics readily available. You have to go down to practicality in the zombie apocalypse. You can't just be like you can't have the snowflake mentality.
What's that quote again from Tommy Wiseau?
Do you understand life?
Do you?
Yeah, you don't have the freedoms anymore that you used to have when civilization was alive, Druckmann. It's not the same thing. There's no coffee shops on the corner. There's no abortion clinics on the corner. There's no special snowflake mentality. There's no he's a bigot. We can't ally with him. It's kill or be killed sometimes. In zombie apocalypse, it's are you going to kill me? No. Okay, well then we're allies now. You have to boil it down to
if you don't, if you meet someone else, like, are you going to kill me? Well, I still can't trust you.
Yeah, more or less, and you don't send pregnant women to go fight. You send someone else to do that because you need offspring. Okay, you need to protect the next generation, and it would be sexist to say now, but it wouldn't be sexist to say then that you have a choice. You have to choose. You can't be as promiscuous as you could during the civilization, because when civilization was up, you had access to medication, hospitals. And you could abort whenever you wanted to. Here, you can't. Out here, you can't really do that. You don't have access to all the same medical care that you did when civilization was around.
Interestingly enough, in the game, they actually ask one of the mothers, "Are they going to keep it?"
Yeah.
So it implies they have the option, which is like, "Oh my God, are you serious?"
Yeah. Well, I don't know how, but
you can slam your belly against a fence.
I guess so. That's how you do it. I don't know how they do it. I guess they can't find another surgeon in the world, but they can find a bunch of abortion doctors. I guess.
Oh right, that was Dina actually. I think that was the comment from Jesse about Dina. I think that was the commentary. Yeah. Okay. I just remember this cutscene. So.
In the zombie apocalypse, if you choose to get pregnant, you have to deal with the consequences. You can't go out and running in combat. It's your choice whether or not to get pregnant. I mean, you have to think of the practicality when it's a zombie apocalypse and you don't have the access to all the conveniences of civilization. Okay, you have to be more practical and more and smarter about your decisions. Things come with consequences in zombie apocalypse.
Let's keep going. We got a few super chats to go through, and we're only 2.5 minutes in. All right. Agent Yokai Zero, thank you, sir. My professor supports pregnant combatants. I don't know what class that is. I think that's a good conversation to have on Morning Nonsense. You should write that down. LiteratureDevil.
Which one is it?
Agent Yokai Zero. His professor supports pregnant women, so I don't know which professor that is or what class, but have fun with that one. Okay, Joe Crazy. They sent a pregnant woman out into combat. Since when did The Last of Us become Wolfenstein 2? You know what? I think I'd rather play The Last of Us than the women of the latest Wolfenstein game. Was it the daughters?
Oh, you mean New Colossus?
Oh God, yeah, that was nauseating.
I don't remember a pregnant woman in New Colossus.
No, I don't think. Well, the two daughters were just obnoxious. So just
most of the characters were, except for the two main ones, Blaskovich and his girlfriend.
Yeah,
those are the two tolerable ones, and I'm even questioning her. Blaskovich is like the only one that's completely awesome in that game. Everyone else is kind of annoying. It almost fell in the same sort of scenario as I wish they were all dead, like in like the Resistance in Star Wars. There's all plucky, like a treehouse friendly brigade of people. I don't know.
Okay. Here's Mr. X. Thank you, sir. Alt ending. Ellie hands Abby the bigot sandwich. Oh, come on. That would be ridiculous.
And saves her fingers.
Yeah. Saves her fingers. Abby recovers her gains. 10-10. Chekhov's gun use. Oh, dear. Hey, that was Jesse's sandwich. He was like, it's steak. This is awesome. Like, I'm going to take it. Like, okay.
They share a bigot sandwich. That'd be nice.
Oh, God. I don't want to strangle you anymore. You want a sandwich? You've lost like 2 months worth of body mass. Like, what happened to you? Being crucified up there. Let's have a sandwich. Okay. We're friends now. 10 out of 10.
Another thing is that when it comes to the zombie apocalypse, trying to expand what LitDev was already talking about, you don't get as many liberties as you do then. And one of them is it's a very obvious example. Vegans, you can't be vegan in a zombie apocalypse, and there's always going to be certain things which I think if anything society would de-evolve back into classes where these persons have to do these things and these have to do these things because there's you're a pregnant lady. It's quite obvious you have to stay back. I don't know if I explained this point, but my main point was more vegans. Like you can't, like, the progressive elements wouldn't really survive the zombie apocalypse.
Are there vegans in Last of Us 2?
No. I was using that as just the point.
Okay.
Whereas, like, you wouldn't be able to be a vegan if it was
you wouldn't,
a zombie apocalypse.
Even a lot of vegans say that.
Even like many progressive ideas just wouldn't be able to work, and it's not about if those progressive ideas are right. It's about if they'd actually be practical and capable in a zombie apocalypse scenario.
Yeah, I mean, even a lot of vegans say like, yeah, they're only vegan because of civilization. If they were out in the wilderness, they would eat meat.
Well, they have no option, so yeah. Whew. Okay, here's another super chat from Onia Jones. I always have a problem pronouncing all those vowels. You can't use logic when it comes to anything SJW. Logic is part of the patriarchy, and that's bad. They do use logic. It's just very basic, and they're not aware of when they hate something because they associate with that one thing, but they do use it, just not in any...
No, they use ass-backwards logic. That's what they use.
Well, obviously it's rationale of some kind, so they're not devoid of it. They just don't know they're using it. Because they hate something, it must be bad, and everything associated with that. So Trump is A, and you are B, therefore you are Trump, and therefore you're bad. So that's pretty much it. Even though I'm Canadian, I don't really care about Trump, but okay. John Lemley again, thank you, sir. The worst part about Mel being active is that Dina was way less along in her pregnancy and didn't do as much as Mel. This is interesting because, yeah, she gets pregnancy pains, was it 3 months or 2 months? I can't remember how far she's in. And you have to imagine what Mel was getting through up to, was it 5 or 7 months, however long it was. So I guess Mel's just a tougher girl. I don't know. Had less problems. And the doctor's like, well, we need as many people as we can get. And you have 2 legs that are functioning. You're out. Let's go. That's enough. You're clear for duty. It's like, you have your arms and legs. You're good. What? Pregnant? You're fine. You're totally fine. Here's Joe Crazy. There was a pregnant combatant in Wolfenstein 2. Oh, I didn't know. See, I didn't know the details there. I got the feeling that someone on that development team had a fetish considering some of the content. I wouldn't be surprised.
Oh, I think Blazkowicz gets his girlfriend pregnant. I think that's what it is. It's been a while since I played that game.
Okay, but that's not like 5 months into pregnancy. That's just like, oh, we just found out.
Yeah, I think that's pretty much it. She is pregnant. I think she grows into pregnancy over the course of the game, though. I can't quite remember exactly the details.
Okay, let's keep on going.
If I ever were to lose you,
Which brings us to the second elephant in the room, the ambitious and risky narrative structure. This is not a breezy linear movie game like we've come to expect from Naughty Dog.
If Ellie played that song on the guitar, now that's worth humming with. That'd be fantastic.
This is the element of Freytag's pyramid, which gets overused. This has absolutely nothing to do with The Last of Us 2 structure. This is I guess she's just making a joke here because this is pointless. This is not how drama works. This is not how the characters work. There's so many thread lines and plots jumping up and down. 6 flashbacks, 2 or 3 dream sequence flashbacks. It's a mess. So you can't even use a Freytag's pyramid in any rational capacity talking about Abby and past Abby and future Ellie, and it's just a mess.
So, another thing, we've heard this argument multiple times of it being ambitious. It's like, I would agree, but the idea of something being ambitious does not excuse the final product. The final product and there's the production and everything behind the production. There's the research, there's the pre-production, there's the planning, there's the attention, but those do not play a part when judging the final product. You can say, oh, my intention was to build a castle out of sand, but all you have is a lump of sand. You failed to reach what you were intending. Unfortunately, it's still just a pile of sand, and you haven't actually built a sand castle, which was the design brief.
It's a strange argument to make narrative structure to say this is what we're following when it's extremely much more a jumbled mess than it is something like, oh, here's the climax of the story for this character at this point in the story, where there's like 6 stories with flashbacks and dream. It's too confusing to even begin to do it that way. So that's why I say a lot of these pyramid structures or dramatic structures are useless, because a story is never going to be a perfect low point, high point, low point ending. It's not going to work that way.
4 different timelines that complement, reflect, and intersect each other, similar to Quentin Tarantino's Pulp Fiction, and most daringly, halfway through there is a point of view flip that tests your personal bias, similar to David Fincher's Gone Girl.
You ever hear the expression, the simplest answer is often the correct one?
Actually, I've never found that to be true.
It's supposed to, because everyone knows the first game. This is pretty obvious, but it's a silly point to make. Oh, I got some super chats. I'm sorry, guys. John Lemley, NGL, not gonna lie, this game is pretty bad at being open and accepting since only women get pregnant. Oh dear. I don't think there was any mutations in the future that caused men to have a womb, so it might explain Abby's massive gains, though. That could be a hormonal thing. Yeah.
Oh, in Last of Us 1, that was not how my doctor kind of ended up. I used a shotgun, so when my playthrough, his head popped like a balloon. So you can't really identify the body.
Ah, there we go. Yeah, the attention to detail to NPCs in The Last of Us 2 is amazing. They gave them names. When you cut their necks out, it's like, yeah, that's Steve. Oh, Steve, no! Nathan Brake, SJWs don't use logic. They use ideology as a shortcut to discount arguments. Well, I would say most people use ideology in general, but that's fine. Also in Wolfenstein, she is like 8 months pregnant. Holy jeez. Sliding and shooting. Oh, I gotta see clips of that. Okay, I gotta see that. Wolfenstein has an 8-month-old pregnant woman sliding and shooting. Okay, that's going on my watch list soon.
And taking off her top.
Oh, even better. Guns, boobs, and pregnant. What more do you want from a woman, right? Okay. Joe Crazy. The Last of Us 2 had a lot of wibbly-wobbly, timey-wimey stuff. Oh, dear. That is a joke not for my ears. That's purely for Shiny.
And LitDev also likes a bit of Doctor Who.
Oh, yeah.
Okay. John Lemley. Wow, she really compared The Last of Us 2 to Pulp Fiction and Gone Girl. Yeah, I don't know where she was going with that.
Certainly did.
I just looked at the Pulp Fiction and went, nope, that's not a good comparison. Sorry, it's just...
First of all, Pulp Fiction has many characters to look at the perspectives from, and it's not a sequel to something.
Yeah, I don't think you'd like to see any of the John Travolta or Samuel L. Jackson's character get killed within the first 5 minutes of a sequel to Pulp Fiction. That would kind of piss people off.
John Travolta's character actually he dies in the Bruce Willis section.
Wait a second, doesn't that happen in American Psycho? They kill
American Psycho 2.
Yeah, American Psycho 2, exactly. Yeah.
And it's the reason why no one really has heard of that movie. Yeah, every time I bring up to American Psycho 2, everyone says, "Is it American Psycho 2?" Not technically, yes, there is one, but not really.
It's like when people ask, is there a sequel trilogy? It's like, no, there's never any more films. No one knows why they didn't make any more films.
This is like the Mandela effect. People think there's a sequel trilogy, but there isn't one. There is a series of fan films, though, that were awful.
Yeah, well, they're made by a guy named, what was his name? Ryan Ruin?
I think Ruin Johnson.
Yes.
Oh, Mark in 3D, what are you doing, man? It's like, is there a Deus Ex 2? I think that's Infinity War. I think that's what you're implying. The one with the universal ammo and all this other nonsense going on.
I think it was like a Human Revolution. There was a Deus Ex. I think there was one like Human Revolution, Evolution, or something like that. And then there's Mankind United. I think
Mankind Divided. But those are good games. Divided. This is the original Deus Ex 2.
Divided had they really, from what I could tell, they really sunk in a bunch of SJW nonsense in there. Like what was it? Something Lives Matter. They had that in there also. I don't know. I didn't play the next one because of that. But the first one was a lot of fun. The Human Evolution.
We are so screwing up these subtitles. We're just going to keep going before we embarrass ourselves any further.
These are complex rhetorical devices for any author or director to utilize. So,
okay, rhetorical devices, I don't think she knows. Again, she's using these terms in a way I just wish I knew what she was talking about. Rhetorical devices has to do with communication and talking and argument. And there's lots of them. If you read Aristotle, he has the 3 modes of persuasion. If you read linguistics professors, they have all kinds of techniques, like alliteration is a literary device or a rhetoric device. So I want to know, guys, do you know what rhetorical devices The Last of Us Part 2 is using? Because I didn't see any.
Unfortunately, I haven't played the game, but from what I've seen and heard, I don't know. I don't think I've heard of one or learned of one yet.
Like maybe there's some hyperbole. I mean, there's all these little small talk happening, so that there's jokes. Like euphemisms. Like what? Like again, she uses terms and she doesn't describe them. It's like, what are you talking about? What does the plot mean to you? What does theme mean to you? I want to know what she's talking about. She can't just say word and expect everyone to get it, like someone who knows what the word means.
let's all take a moment as gaming enthusiasts to say, bravo! Whether or not it's the story we wanted, this was a bold and monumental...
Bravo! Okay. Jesus.
Okay, congratulations, you get a participation award. What you were going for was incredibly difficult to do, and you failed. Congratulations.
Now, isn't it usually doesn't this usually work by going somewhere different or taking risks by giving the audience something that they didn't know that they wanted, not by purposely taking away what they wanted?
You get an award if you do something difficult and you succeed. You don't get an award for failing. You don't get a participation award.
Yeah, it's called a participation trophy. Yeah.
Bravo on running everyone into the ground and crunch and getting them fired and never wanting to come back for getting the game released on a pushback. It got pushed back a year and a half later, I think. The release date kept getting pushed back at least a year, so I don't know how long it took to get because of COVID. But probably later than they expected, especially when the rating system had to wait at least 2 months to even get the game to test. So yeah, bravo, you released a product. I'll give you praise for that. That's true. That is an accomplishment. John Lemley, thank you, sir. Choose your fighter. Complex rhetorical devices, which ones I don't know. Game like game or fascism. Oh no, not fascism. Why is that always an argument? Oh, you're a fascist. You just don't like it. You're a fascist. It's like, what? This game was not for you. Who's it for then? Non-fascists? Is that it?
Exactly.
You're not liberal enough to appreciate this. I guess I'm not liberal enough.
How come it's their right to tell me that the game is not for me? Shouldn't I be making that decision?
No.
If I like everything about it, if it's something I liked, if it's a franchise I liked, but you're telling me that's not for me. I'm the consumer here. I should be making that decision, and I should be telling you as a criticism. This is something that I would like normally, but you did it in such a way that I don't. That's not a good thing.
You would think the first game would be a good indication of who the audience is, but we were wrong. So now we know. Good to have information on a product of a sequel before it's released.
Yeah. Ironically enough, they are listening to people that make these complaints who are actually not fans of the genre that they're complaining about. Like, if they're saying, "Oh, this is horrible. I don't like it. It's not made. It's not made to suit my sensibilities." Well, do you play sci-fi or do you play post-apocalyptic zombie games? No, and I don't like them. I don't even play video games. But you don't like this video game because of its how this story goes. Yep, and you should change it to suit my needs. Okay.
I see.
How about no?
You're an idiot.
So it's perfectly fine for games to where they demand that games and movies and TV shows cater to their own whims, even though they are not even fans of these franchises and genres. But for some reason, it's not made. These things are not made for us. They should be made for us.
It's kind of like
actually enjoyed them in the first place.
The spirit of Jack Thompson is alive and well, even though Jack Thompson is totally cool now with video games and what he was arguing for. Like, he was just saying he wants it to be legal because he's a lawyer, and he was saying he wants ESRB to do their job. Nowadays, it's if you're on the left, it's like no, this is all bad. You're causing female violence in games and all this other nonsense from Sarkeesianites. It's like, guys, it's not real. Chill. We've done the studies. It doesn't affect people's brain. We're good.
No, you see what it is? It's projection, because normal people can tell the difference between fiction and reality. These people cannot. So it's a lot of projection here.
All right, Nathan Brake, thank you, sir. I love Gaddy Gats, $3X, Two-Man Revolution. Okay. Great game. But Gaddy...
It's I gay ass sex, Two-Man Revolution, great game, but gay man's ass divided is okay.
See, I like mine better, Shiny. You just ruined it for me. Okay.
Well, it's Devil's job to ruin things. I thought I'd give it a go.
Oh, that's true. Okay. Learning from the best. Okay. John Lemley. This is the part where I mentioned that Kanye did a better job of giving people what they needed, even if it's not what they wanted, on Yeezus than modern vaunted auteurs. You know what? I just found out that Kanye is running for president. So.
Oh yeah, he just announced it. I don't know what side he's going to run on. I don't think it's Democrats. He hasn't been too friendly with them.
Wouldn't that be amazing if he ran for the Democrats and all of a sudden it's like...
He runs his own party.
He drops out so he can let Trump win.
Well, no, he would run, but he'd probably... Like, it doesn't matter if Kanye wins or President Trump wins. It'd be just like, oh, it's the same stuff anyway. They're both the same mindset. And no one can understand Kanye anyway, so it's like, oh, is he a Democrat? It's like, yeah, he's a Democrat, yeah, for sure. Yeah, he's totally a Democrat. That'd be hilarious. I mean, I don't know much about American politics, but I just think two popular names going against each other is kind of entertaining. So at least we'd have lots of good news coverage.
Well, Kanye and Trump are really close, so I don't know what's going to happen, actually. It seems like a play to me. I don't know what's going to happen. He might run independent. I don't know.
Wow.
We'll see.
That'd be nuts.
Well, as far as in America, like, independent parties actually aren't. Well, they have next to nothing in terms of their popularity.
No, if you vote independent in a presidential election, you just tossed away your vote, pretty much.
Mm. Well, but yeah, because no one votes for them, so they're not going to get in.
Okay, here's a super chat from Lenny the Shark. You seem to be mirroring what John Lemley said just above. Choose your fighter, Movie Bob, Cosmonaut, or Greedo. Oh, Cosmonaut. Oh, I feel sorry for you, Cosmonaut. That was a really bad review he did of The Last of Us 2. That was like...
So, are we playing as the fighter, or... I guess so, that's what's implying.
I don't know.
So it's like, do we go off the most powerful, or do we go off who's the least worst?
Did Movie Bob even do a review? I can't remember. Maybe he's taking his time. Greedo is... Well, these are all,
But he gets there in the end.
Yeah, comparing these three guys is a mess. It's just like Movie Bob's its own creation. Greedo is this super fan.
The worst. Greedo the second worst, and then Cosmonaut's the least worst.
Well, Cosmonaut's the thing with Cosmonaut is he has these definitions that last, or these reviews that last 20 minutes or so, and they're almost opposite of what people are thinking. So I don't know if he does that on purpose because it's so backwards, or it's just he actually thinks that way and has a lot to talk about because of that process of elimination of starting from A and then going to the inverse of A and then going, this is what I believe. You're like, oh, really? Anyway. John Lemley, he's trolling right now. He'll run for real life. Okay, 2024. That's funny. He has an album called God's Country on the way soon. Really? Okay, that's... I don't know if that's a popular way of advertising your soon-to-be released album. I'm saying you're going to run for president. Maybe that's a thing to do in constitutional monarchies or constitutional republics. I don't know. It could be the thing to do. I don't know American politics very well.
Usually, a lot of people tend to run for president so they can sell a book or something like that because they know they won't win. But running for president gives them enough notoriety where they can, from then on, get on talk shows and write books and make a lot of money doing that. You can make a lot of money being a failure at running for president.
They got to get Madonna to run for president, bring her career back. That'd be fantastic. I'm releasing my single out tomorrow as well. Like, really?
I'm running for president for 5 minutes. Buy my album.
Tom the Cat, thank you, sir. Petition to declare The Last of Us 2 a poorly written fan fiction. I don't know. I don't think it's fan fiction. I think it's not pretentious either. I'm trying to characterize it. It's like I'm intentionally going to write a Mary Sue. It's like, oh yeah, obviously that's a Mary Sue, and then trying to and then actually going backwards into their past and trying to make that character likable. And they're already likable, so what are you doing? You're just regurgitating the same stuff. With Abby, it's like, let's intentionally hurt the audience and then work backwards to try to make you like her. It's very strange why you'd start that way and progress that way. And I don't know why they did that. Nathan Break, hey Spud, if you survive this, we'll bang, okay, Commander Shep. You know what? I think this is a fine. I'm not pissed off too much. She has some terms she's not using properly. Happens a lot of times. I don't expect YouTubers to get all the literary terms. I don't like the fact she's inventing, was it rhetorical techniques? It was like, no, just don't use terms you don't know what you're talking about. That's all I want.
But narrative correctness.
Yeah, just don't pull out words and expect that your audience knows them. Define them, whatever you're talking about, and then use them. So, but that's pretty common on YouTube. Taker 610. Trudeau would fight off the infected with his alter ego brown face. Oh. By day, he leads Canada as PM. I don't even think he does that by day. But by night, he becomes brown face man. I don't know if you guys knew this, but was it last week? A guy drove in an SUV all the way, an ex-military guy, from Alberta, which is a few provinces over, all the way to his chateau, and rammed the fence. And he had 2 guns with him. And then he was captured. And like a nice Canadian, he just raised his arms, put his gun down instantly. And we don't know why. No one knows why.
That's a very interesting scenario to run into. It's gun running 2 guns.
Yeah, he drove all the way nonstop from Alberta to Ontario and then rammed the frickin' fence where he was staying because it's COVID, right? So we sequester off our PM for whatever reason. And he just went to knock on the door and he got caught instantly. I was like, what was that all about? We don't know. And no one's talked about it ever since.
Someone's like, oh, you caught me. I surrender.
Can you imagine if that happened in America? Someone rammed the White House with 2 guns and just like dropped his guns.
I'm pretty sure if that happened in America, a guy ran to the White House with 2 guns, I'm pretty sure he's going to be using them.
He would be dead.
Security guys were shooting. It's like, he's got guns. If I could shoot him, it's like, no, okay, we'll be nice, okay.
Okay, I don't know what's happening in the chat, but everyone's like spamming it. Is there a reason for that? Because Shiny's gonna bring down the hammer on you anytime.
Wait, what?
I don't know what's going on.
I wasn't even paying attention to the chat. Wait, I've got to go up.
I guess there's a guy named Alvin in the chat, and they're spamming the name Alvin.
It's from the same two people, Alvin, Feed Nuts. Okay, what I'll do is I'll give anyone a warning now. Anyone who keeps spamming the chat with that, I'll hide. So you have a warning.
Because this is getting strange. What is happening in the chat?
I don't know. Okay. Timeout. There we go.
It's a bot. There's several bots, it looks like.
They're spamming Alvin.
I don't know what this is a reference to. What is going on?
I wasn't even... I'm putting them in timeout. Just in case there is someone...
Yeah, the chat rate jumped to about 60 chats a minute. Actually, 67 now.
It's the clankers. It's the bots.
The bots, yeah.
Well, the clankers... So... Well, that's my specialty. That's why I'm here.
That's a good thing. That's cute. I like that. All right, we got 30 seconds of what the hell is that about? All right, back to Super Chats. John Lemley, I wouldn't say pretentious as much as conceited. I don't know. This is the mentality of someone who wants to tell a certain story a certain way. But you could say the same thing of any writer who wants to do something a certain way. So it's hard to say. We do know why the beginning of the game was cut off, because they wanted to get the inciting incident as much as possible, and we were told that the world was more open world. You played as Abby for a lot longer, and you joined Jackson as a community as Abby. But then they cut that out because they thought it was taking too long to get to the inciting incident, which I appreciate, but not for that purpose. So, pacing good, not at the cost of character destruction. So.
Well, the pacing isn't even that good within the game still.
No. But for the first, it takes about an hour and a half to get there. But the fact that the argument was, well, there's too much in the beginning, let's cut it down, and the game is already very slow and long and big. So if they could do that to the rest of the game, that would be great. But just the intro, I could see the argument for that. But again, the structure of the story was already messed up to begin with, so it's still a mess. Lenny the Shark. Well, I hope Kanye annexes Canada as the 51st state or something. This is going to be sad. All the popular people in the world become runners-up or alternatives to politicians.
Next up, PewDiePie.
Yeah, exactly. Why not? He's the biggest, most popular guy in the world, at least online.
Schwarzenegger became the governor of a state, didn't he?
Yeah, exactly. Just because he's popular.
So why not?
Why not?
I'm going to vote for this person because they're my favorite actor on TV.
Funny enough, that happened in California. So
the previous argument.
Even Frasier made that joke where they had a candidate who was. It was revealed that he thought he was abducted by aliens. He said, "Well, I lost this election obviously because you spread the word that I think I'm abducted by aliens and stuff. So I'm going to go run in California next. That could probably actually help me over there."
The previous issue was you had to be super rich, like Ross Perot in the 90s. Like, that was the only way you could possibly run as a third party. So he was sort of a game changer, but we were talking about a billionaire who did it because he felt like he had a duty to perform. And he was old, and he had all this money. But, yeah, nowadays, if you're popular, like, that's why they're saying Oprah should have ran for the Democrat ticket. But luckily, she's not a megalomaniac or, she has some sense. I don't know about the Democratic nominees or nominations. Again, I don't follow these guys. I just see them on Twitter and laugh like everyone else.
I know Joe Biden has hairy legs, apparently.
They're blonde hairy legs or something. I don't know. Here's John Lemley. I want to thank the governor of my home state, Virginia, for being ahead of his time in college by covering his face in a mask. Oh, I don't know if that's a joke. I don't know if that's a true story. What does anyone know what the home state of Virginia?
and move on.
Yes, we're just going to move on, sir. But thank you for that reference. I wish I got it, though. Lenny the Shark. Is this guy supposed to be Alvin? I don't know. That was a bot. That's all we know. Kiowa-rama. Hi, watching your content has encouraged me to start writing my own fantasy book. Thanks. By the way, why your videos keep saying Movie Bob Shira? Well, it's probably because I just copy what happens when you start a live stream. It says you copy from the previous one, and I don't bother to edit until it's after it's baked. So I haven't gone back and done that for the last one, but that's the reason why. It just copies the previous one and all the description therein. So I have to go back and change it. Oh, here's another super chat. Kane from WWE is the mayor of Knox County, Tennessee, so anything's possible. Oh, that's interesting. That reminds me of, it was the mayor of Minnesota and then the governor of Minnesota. What is that? Jesse the Body? He used to be in World Wrestling Federation. So yeah, wrestlers do become popular people. Or if they decide to run for Congress or municipal mayor. But that's America. Wonderful place. Oh, this is the joke. Okay, John Lemley. Ralph Northam's college yearbook from medical school came out and he was seen in either blackface or a KKK mask. Wow. You know what? Blackface does not stop you from becoming Prime Minister of Canada. So if it can do it if you can do it in Canada, you could definitely do it in the States.
It doesn't hurt you at all, apparently. In fact, it gets you reelected.
They love you. It's like, oh, he was just going through a phase. You know, he got all those racist feelings out of his body. It's like, yeah, okay, sure.
That wouldn't happen in America. Let's be honest.
If he were conservative, he'd be gone. he'd be canceled.
Like if you see what happened to like Cenk Uygur like a while back, it's like no, like usually forgiveness. That's not gonna help. Like you're not gonna get that. Like you say one thing once, usually you're dead for the rest of your life. You're fucked.
I don't know the story of the Cenk. I just know I don't care about him. And they give us, was it Dave Rubin or whatever his name? He used to work there. He's a much better commentator. So, or interviewer. Anyway.
Undertaking that only a fool would call lazy writing.
What the fuck's the power doing off?
I wouldn't call lazy writing. I would call it bad writing. They intentionally made bad writing. That's exactly what happened.
Last of Us Part 2 shows off the breadth of Naughty Dog's skill with literary forms and their
Which one? Give us a form of literacy.
Oh, god damn it. Okay, people, if you are spamming in chat, I'm going to put you in fucking timeout.
No, just ban them. We don't need this. Just get rid of them. I don't care. They've had their time.
All right.
Jake Deere, Geotex, you're gone. Sorry. Okay, that's good.
Passion for pushing the boundaries of this industry, all while under the pressure of our highest expectations. Bravo!
Pushing the boundaries of the industry. Wow.
That's a bold claim to make for a very hated game.
Jesus. It's like Rian Johnson pushed the boundaries of the narrative. It's like, what? He made a shitty movie. What are you talking about?
And pushed the boundaries of good taste.
Yeah, that's what he did.
Push the boundaries of a fan tolerance. That's one thing I know he did.
Now let's examine if it was all a huge mistake. Seattle.
Nice.
That was great.
Day 1 through 3 for Ellie is a progression of increasingly horrendous acts, accompanied by a story told through flashbacks that represent her increasingly horrendous mental state. These memories go from the best of times to the worst of times that she shared with Joel, climaxing with the revelation that he lied to her.
Hey, how's it going, Glib?
Good. I've just been listening in the background while I do some chores for the morning. It's been entertaining.
Yeah, this is a less painful video. I like fans who have praised things, and we just sort of pick apart their words without. It's like, you know, you have the.
We debunk their happiness.
They're free. Yeah, they debunk. No, that's LiteratureDevil's job. We don't do that here. He's more than enough. He takes it all.
Debunking happiness is wonderful.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
So,
That's why I'm here. It's my special.
So just to summarize, she's using a lot of terms where she either doesn't define or just like rhetorical devices or literary. It's just like you're not describing which that is. What is a plot? What is a story? Tell us. Then we'll understand what you're saying. It's as if we are assumed to know exactly what she means. And anyone who studied this for at least a year or a semester in university will say, well, that's like the beginning of what you're talking about. Where are you going? Tell us. So we can go on this journey of analysis with you. But she doesn't do that, unfortunately. But
all right. Yeah, I agree. That's what I've been listening to.
It's bold. It's breaking the normalcy of gaming. Like, okay, great.
Bold buzzword. It's thing. It's good because it's a thing that exists.
It makes you feel X.
You get a participation pass.
I'm too dumb to realize how genius this is. That's what I know.
Yeah. We're all just dum-dums. So.
Dumb big dumb fanboys.
Oh god, I gotta clip that guy out. Probably forget him. Okay. Mark in 3D. They must be dead by now. Destroy what is left of them. What are we talking about?
They must be dead by now. Destroy what's left of them.
Okay.
Phantom Menace.
Oh god, that is such an obscure quote. Joe Crazy. That's a hell of a statement. Bravo. Yes, yeah, it is. She obviously likes the game, so gave her all the feels, all the bad feels, which is apparently a good thing. I don't know.
About what happened at the end of the previous game. Joel murdered the doctors searching for a cure, and in Ellie's own words, prevented her life from meaning something. When we learn that she has been struggling with the same morally ambiguous actions of a grief-stricken man that we as players have struggled with for so many years, we are forced to confront a grim possibility. Maybe, just maybe, Joel lived long enough to see himself become the villain, at least in someone else's story. And maybe, just maybe, in that story,
I'm pretty sure that was actually true
in the
first
day,
game.
It
wasn't just that. Like we as the players, we knew what Joel was doing was pretty much wrong. It was just he made a selfish choice to save Ellie.
Yeah, we wouldn't even be that wrong because then again, we are talking about a terrorist organization here that probably weaponized the virus, the cure.
It's possible. It's possible.
At least, at the very least, there's a question that might not be simple to answer for some people, and some people might have different takes, and you can have a discussion about it. Like it's very cool, Anakin, that we can say, okay, Joel was wrong because he would have led to what he did was destroy the only surgeon that could do X or Y. Okay, maybe that's true. But then again, maybe Joel was right because the surgeon and the Fireflies were just their project wasn't going to work anyway. The only thing that I don't like about what has resulted, not the only thing, the major thing is that in Last of Us 2 we don't keep moving with that idea. There's one thread that comes out of the Fireflies with Abby, and I was thinking that when I left off with The Last of Us 1, I was like, great. Now Joel and Ellie can go and try and find a cure, and we can have an entire game about trying to find new people that could help. Maybe they'll become the Fireflies. Maybe we'll have another thing that's like this. I don't know. But what we got was a revenge story that was basically like, I want to regurgitate what we just played. I want to rearrange things. I want to recontextualize things. It seems to me like the only way to get a definitive explanation to me for how everything is the way that it is would be from Neil Druckmann himself explaining, like, I did this because I hated this. Like an honest, like, confession. Because it feels like he's messing with other people's work that he disagreed with so that he can rewrite history and take it in the direction that he wants to take it in. How long has Abby been his idea? Was it all the way back in 2013? Or did he just invent that recently? Was that after he talked to Sarkeesian? I'd love to get a full play-by-play from Mr. Druckmann.
Especially when the backstory of Abby is some NPC that just happened to be in the room of like the whole building that Joel probably had to kill through to get to freedom. So, yeah, you slammed it in there. You fit your square peg into the round pole. It fit, but you didn't do a good job of actually having it appreciate the process.
I would say anyway. Back to what the video is saying. I would say it's more morally ambiguous, and because you really they're gonna kill a young girl, and the only reason why Joel does it is because he cares about Ellie.
It's all within his character.
So there's definitely a discussion you can make about if this is the right thing to do or not.
Well,
but it's not
great.
like Joel is straight up the villain. That is not fair to say at all.
In the genre, you assume this. Everyone is gray. Morals and ethics are out the door. We get it. And the only thing that matters in this context is, does it make sense? Is the character acting the way they should? And if you can sell that to the audience, it doesn't matter what they do. If he's a horrible person or if he's a saint, if they're doing what is right to them at that point in time, it's totally fine. That's all we ask for. That's why the ending of The Last of Us 2 is such a shock, because everything was leading up to that. Everything that Ellie gave up was for that moment, and she couldn't pull the trigger. She tried to pull the trigger, and then she's dropped the whole gun entirely. Like, why? And it's a flashback, which is a flashback when Joel was alive, which was a problem she resolved back then. So and people say the story is about forgiveness. It's like, no, it's not. It was never. No one has forgiven anyone. Even Ellie talking to Joel, I might now start to forgive you. So it's just this strange understanding of the gameplay reflecting the narrative, and it just doesn't connect. And how that relates to the ending, I don't know.
As the grief-stricken Ellie slowly becomes a more terrifying monster than some of the literal monsters, her friends begin to question if revenge is worth it.
No, they don't. They are all on board. Every single one of them. Tommy's on board. Jesse comes of his own volition. Dina goes wherever Ellie goes. And she only has to turn back because they couldn't stop her the first time. They couldn't stop Abby in the movie theater. So no, that does not happen in the story.
Player begins to question if revenge is worth it, and after her rage results in the death of a nearly born child, Ellie finally decides she's okay with letting Abby live if it means getting her loved ones back home safe.
No. Abby gives her an ultimatum. If I see you ever again, I'll kill you, or whatever she says when she leaves. And she's like, well, I've nearly been killed. Jesse's dead. Dina was nearly killed. Tommy was nearly killed. We can't do anything right now. Let's go recuperate. They recuperate for, I don't know, is it half a year? Or I don't know, the baby's pretty young, so it's got to be around a year. And then she's still she can't sleep. She can't eat. She has to go do this thing. Which is so ridiculous, because at post credits, she's going to be walking away from the farm. She's going to try to go to bed. She can't sleep. She can't eat.
You know how this is, though. It's one of those things where it's just like somebody that plays this game, and they're taken in. That to me is the whole thing. It's like you ever have a friend or something that's in an abusive relationship, and you're like, dude, you got to stop. Break up with him or her, because they're turning you into like this miserable person. They're doing all these things to you. You're excusing it. You're making it. Oh, she's so beautiful. She's so aesthetically pleasing. I get so emotional when I'm around him or her. It's like, yeah, dude. But all of this is abuse to your psyche and your conscience. It's like here's a series of events that are designed to make you feel bad. So I'm very curious about like if this is playing into some sort of complex that people have.
I think,
as opposed to thinking it's good storytelling because of how meritorious it is, based on its complexity, based on its motivation.
I think it's such a big mess that they can't put two and two together. They don't have all the facts right, because it's hard to follow. So they say, oh, this is obviously, because in my brain I have to rationalize it based off what I recall, it's a story of forgiveness and redemption for Ellie. It must be. Why else would she stop strangling Abby? Even though there's absolutely no mention of forgiveness or wanting to forgive Abby in any time.
I'll say what's probably happening here, and I kind of think the same with The Last Jedi, where it's like these people have enjoyed the film, so they've started off at an end result of this film is good, and then they've worked backwards to say, oh, why is it good? And it's because it was, and it kind of relates how these people always gone about how it makes them feel. And that's because they've gone from the end result of them enjoying it, and if they enjoy it, it has to be good, and then they make this whole argument about like, oh, the only reason why other people don't like it's because they're biased. The only reason why this happens, it's because it's the way of feeling, and the exact arguments we're listening to on these videos we cover. They come from an end result. That's what I'm saying. Vote.
Is that okay?
It has to be.
It's at this point that the third elephant enters the room. Abby.
You killed my friends. We let you both live.
The third woo.
And you wasted it.
And when the player wakes up 3 days in the past as Abby, she may as well look right in the camera and say,
"You're gay."
Hi.
This is a historic moment in video
hate
games.
on gamers,
It's
that's it.
Abby is the Joker?
Gamers are just all bigots. That's it. That's the simple question, the simplest explanation. It's not because they did anything wrong. The game didn't do anything wrong. It's just that gamers are all bigots. Okay. Well, thank you for being the first person to lay that down.
I love that it's like she's saying that Abby's like the Joker, and we're like Two-Face, and Two-Face is basically asking the Joker like, so what are you doing? And then Joker's like, do I really look like a guy with a plan? And you're like, well, Abby, you don't have a plan. Obviously, your plan is just to kill Ellie, and what is her group's plan again?
I don't know. Gamers, I just know that gamers just hate Abby because she exists for some reason,
right?
Not for any real reason. It's because they hate her because I don't know, they're sexist or something. And I know she didn't. I know that she didn't say that like outright, but especially what that implies. Abby just shows up and gamers is like, I hate you for whatever reason.
Why didn't they go full on like thematic with the golfing? Golfing should have been a theme in it, where Abby and her dad go golfing before the apocalypse at like a miniature golf place, and that's the reason why she hits Joel. And then she can have one-liners. She can be like, I'm trying to work on my short game, and then beat Joel to death with it. Why not make it into a comedy? You know, I thought it was a tragedy, but now I realize it's a comedy.
Long game, you're a putting green, Ellie.
But apparently this, according to this scenario, Abby just shows up and gamers just hate her for some reason. There's no real reason at all. Just we hate you because of reasons.
We don't like comics for some reason.
And we have to extract from the situation. But what does she really say? There's no real reason, is there?
Well,
gamers just hate her.
Mojave in chat she's saying gamers are bad, dude. Absolutely. Yeah. We're bad dudes.
We're bad. How are we bad? Why are we bad? Because we're bigot? Because gamers are bigots, or gamers are just angry losers? What is it? Which one it is?
I agree. Neil, you should quit making video games because gamers are bad. That's a good idea.
I love the fact that she called it a historical moment in video games. When I think of historical moments in video games, I think of like, Pong, Mario Brothers, the PlayStation. Half-Life. You think of all these moments as a game being released, not a moment in a game of a story of a game. There's nothing like, I can't point to like, oh, Hideo Kojima did this twist. It's like, no, I don't really care. That's just a part of a story.
I have a... Sorry, go on.
No, it's a silly thing to talk about an element of a story. Like when Hamlet poisons Claudius with his own poison. It's like, that's a moment in stage production. It's like, no, it's just...
Yeah, according to this review, Abby just shows up, says hi, and then gamers like instantly, for no reason other than that she exists. Gamers just, oh, that's awful. We just hate you. We just hate you. If we weren't restrained to this hospital bed, we'd be murdering you right now. I don't think that's exactly the reason why gamers hated Abby. It's more like there are other several reasons. I think
maybe, just maybe.
My thing, just to sketch therapy, because I total bro in chat. He's saying they hate all of you. They hate you because you dare not go against the line. How many lights are there? How many stars are there? It's devil speaking, devil talk. We know what this is. And I guess he retracted it or something. But the point that I was trying to make off of that is that it's really hard to explain to somebody who doesn't have all the pieces of the puzzle as to what, like, if we say this person's saying that gamers are bad. We know that they're not explicitly saying that. We understand that the implications of what they're saying is that what is left unsaid from the statement, but we're supposed to assemble in our minds is that it's the gamers that are the problem. We're just too immature to accept complex writing, so they keep pandering us. They want to make it so that there's this scheme where gaming is progressing and us gamers are holding it back because we actually care about video games and not narrative movie choices that have nothing to do with us. You know,
gamers
it's like
gamers just bad guys.
Yeah. So what I and that was just also a response to somebody else in the comments that was like, because I completely understand how you could miss pieces of it and go, I never heard her say this, or I never, but it's playing to an audience. It's like if I say a sentence and I don't complete it, and then you complete the rest of it in your head. Like, for example, if I go, my new thing is I'm just going to stop before I finish a sentence so that people have to figure out the rest of, and I'm sure you completed that sentence in your head, right? Rest of what I'm saying.
Asking you to complete sentences. Here's one from Mark and 3D. If you want to read Mark and 3D's super chat, I'd really appreciate that.
Me?
Yeah, go ahead.
Okay, yeah, great. Where's you want to know how I got these muscles? My father used to force me to work out.
Which is kind of funny if you look at these scars on the I can't remember the name of the religious group. They look exactly like the scars on Joker. Like really big scars.
Yeah.
I don't know why they did that. I don't even know the story behind that. There must be some story, but it's just like that exactly look like Joker's or Nolan's Joker scars.
Yeah, but according to this, just Abby did all that happened was Abby showed up and gamers just hated her for no reason at all. They just hated her.
Why would gamers do this?
I don't know. Maybe because they're bigots and evil sexists or something. I don't know. He didn't say it specifically. We have to take your pick. I guess it leaves us open. So now we have options here. She gave us more options than Druckmann did. She gave us more agency than Druckmann did his players.
Here's Young Jay. Here, the problem about game, I don't think. Ellie was the only person that had the cure, which the Fireflies came in contact with, but people don't understand that the Fireflies didn't give Ellie any choice. Yes, so there is the aspect of like beating up Joel and at least telling him what's happening, but not talking to Ellie. And it sounds like Ellie would have been on board, but we're talking about a little girl who doesn't know much about the world. And obviously, she cares about Joel. Obviously, she's thankful that Joel saved her life, even though the part of her wants her to, help the rest of humanity, of course. But she's still thankful for it. So, and we don't need to know that in the narrative. We don't need a direct example, or else she would have directly said, "You've taken my life from me, or you've taken the life away from other people. I would have gladly have done X, Y, Z." So, yes, he did lie. Yes, he's not perfect, but he saved the little girl he never got to have for the rest of his life. And that is a true his character. That's all we ask for stories in characters. They don't have to be heroes. They don't have to be superheroes. They don't have to be perfect. They have to be true to the thing they are that they've been created for. So, to me, that's good writing. You have all your elements in your narrative, and they work the way they're supposed to. John Lemley, here we go. Walking dogs right now, so I'll keep this on the background, but I don't know if I'll be paying active attention to this. Okay.
I think we missed one, by the way. And by the way, John, enjoy your dogs. Obviously, the living beings matter more. But I think we missed Young Jay. I don't know if you want to read that, Smud.
I just read that, actually.
Oh, you did? So I was just phasing out of it. My bad.
Yeah, no, that was the whole choice at the end with Joel. That the plot just didn't care about Ellie having the cure. Yes, there were some gameplay things where, some narrative things where she's was that doctor in the hospital where she's already dead because she's infected with the spores, and Ellie's fine, and Ellie is forced, or the player is forced to beat that person over the head with a club, when it would have been probably more satisfying to just let her die, because she's going to either get shot in the head by one of her colleagues or just become a monster. So I don't care if Ellie is very good at revenge, but let's force violence down our throat some more. It's like, yay. Thanks, narrative.
Good storytelling.
Yeah, be a little more creative in your vengeance there, Ellie. Just a little bit. Be rational. That's the beautiful thing about revenge. It's very focused. It's very clear-minded. You don't feel anything. You're a walking corpse until you get your revenge. That's the motif I've seen in a lot of stories. Lone Wolf and Cult.
I don't understand it.
Yeah,
I just don't understand it at all. I mean, has anybody here seen the show or watched read the book, The Road?
Oh yeah,
that's a great and that and Children of Men. They're very emotional. They're very sad. They're impacting. They have tragic endings. They have father figures get lost, that kind of stuff. But we don't hate. As much as you hate the fact that you lost the character that you cared about, you understand why. You understand what it meant. You understand why everything happened. People that are playing Last of Us 2 are wondering what that was all about because they didn't get the same justification. Now, I'm not saying that everybody has to have the same standard for justification, but I knew when I was reading the leaks that people were going to be pissed off because I just knew it wasn't sufficient. It wasn't enough explanation to kill off such a beloved character, especially in the environment that we're in today, the post-Last Jedi environment, post-Ghostbusters 2016, Indiana Jones 4. Like, we've seen deadbeat dad gets beaten up or whatever a million times. So I to do that again, and this is the irony, I feel like. It's we heard earlier how like groundbreaking this is for games and that kind of thing, and I don't think that that's true at all. I've played so many games in the last 10 years where they've thrown this curveball at you. Far Cry 5, the correct way to beat Far Cry 5 is to not try to arrest John Seed, I believe his name is, or whatever it is, the prophet. If you just stand there for 10 minutes and wait, then your character and the local sheriff will just walk out on the marshal that's trying to arrest the prophet. And then when you walk away, the apocalypse doesn't happen. Spoilers or whatever.
Wait,
so
it can happen?
Huh? Yeah.
So if you're saying for 10 minutes, it doesn't happen.
It doesn't happen. You beat the game. You don't have to kill anybody. Nobody gets hurt. And it reveals just how stupid the plot was, where a U.S. Marshal who doesn't know the situation comes in on a helicopter with like 3 people into an area that's basically like the American Taliban. It's like, yeah, of course that's a stupid idea. And the only person that's upset about it is the Marshal, because the Marshal is basically like what the player's impetus is, why they're there. They bought a video game, they want to play through the video game, but the game is telling you that if you play it, you're going down the wrong path. And the only winning move, just like war games, is not to play. How many times are we going to get the war games treatment where you're not supposed to? You're not supposed to kill people. You're not supposed to take revenge. Like, I got that with Hotline Miami. I already got that. And, and
I paid like what, $40 for that game or something. I'm gonna play it.
Yeah.
I didn't buy it for a cutscene and then stand there for 10 minutes and then I'm done. I'm gonna play that thing.
If you are making a video game and your twist is that the gamer shouldn't be playing the game, it says more about you as a developer than it does about the gamer trying to buy the game. Because the gamer is enthusiastic. You're not. You're Hideo Kojima being forced by Konami to make another Metal Gear, and you don't want to. So you make Metal Gear 2, and you make it all about the S3 selection program, and you make it really clever, maybe, because that's where your energy is. You don't want to keep doing the same thing over and over again. You try and make something different. What is it that Neil Druckmann was doing here? Was he bored of Last of Us? Everybody has a choice. You can quit. You can let somebody else take over if you want to, but your ego says, nah, I got to do it. It's mine. So this is all on Neil. It's not on the gamers. It's not on your audience for wanting to show up. You make a movie that says, oh, you shouldn't watch movies. You shouldn't enjoy the violence in movies anymore. I don't want to watch that. If I go to McDonald's, I'm probably not going to go and get a salad and a wrap, even though they sell it there to the health conscious audience, because your business is contingent on burgers and fries. That's the bizarre part for me.
All right, we're more than halfway done, guys. I'm going to read Super Chat. I think we're all... I watched the rest of this. There's only a little bit left. But I like the communication we're having here than we are with the video, because the video is kind of lame. But all the good parts are done, as far as I'm concerned. But we'll keep going. Let me just read a Super Chat, and we'll keep on going. All right. Lenny the Shark, gamers hate her. Find out how to get ripped after the apocalypse with one purchase, shipping free. Well... I don't think they even explained that. They showed clips of a gym and whatever in the big, was it stadium that's in Seattle? I don't even know what it's called. Where the WLF is all getting set up. They have all the resources there. It still doesn't imply how she got ripped. All we know is she got ripped because she's so enthusiastic about finding revenge. That's all she can think of for 5 years. So that makes sense to me as a plot. And that's why the plot is so important. And that's why I did not like the take, or the hot take rather, that Miss Girlfriend Review said that the plot is not the story. It's like, no kidding. The wheels of a car are not the engine. That's true. What are you getting at? So, Andrew Clark. When a character doesn't connect a new situation to an old lesson, a flashback can refocus them. But Ellie's situation with Joel doesn't connect to Abby. The entire story of Abby doesn't connect to Ellie. Ellie is all about finding Abby. That's her whole story. So whenever she stops or stumbles or goes back to the farm, it's like, oh, really? We're doing this now. And this is why people thought it was a dream. This doesn't make sense. This should not be happening. You were either focused on killing someone, or you're recuperating to go back to killing someone. You're not just shying away because you failed. If you're still breathing, there's someone else who has to stop breathing. Okay, that's a revenge plot. So I don't mind it if she picks up a new plot, just to have a damn good reason. And unfortunately, at the ending, she doesn't pick up a new plot. She just drops the one, and that is not how you end a story. Unfortunately.
Moment when a developer presented their audience with a challenge that could not be overcome with a controller. Naughty Dog wants
everything you do in the game is with a controller. There is no moment like Glib said where you're not supposed to play, and then the game does something different. So no, this is literally a linear experience. You must input devices. You must hit the X or the square button to bash people's heads in or cut their throats. That's the point of the game.
You to walk a mile in the shoes of a person who you hate. And even though we've been shown irrefutable proof that Abby is the protagonist of her own story, all we can say as grief-stricken gamers is still,
bitch, I'll never forgive you for this.
Herein lies a controversial yet innovative experiment to expose how the identity of the self relates to the identity of the other. And the result...
The identity of the other. See, let me point something out here. Sometimes the other is a villain, and you have to kill them. It's not something that is foreign to people's minds or out of place. You know, if someone does you wrong, you want to get back at them. Is that wrong? Why is that wrong? Oh, because it's going to create a cycle of violence? Not if I kill all of them. Now what?
Yeah, the Last of Us 1 did a good job at kind of humanizing even the people you fought against. I mean, it didn't go into their backstories or anything, but they looked like people. They didn't look faceless. They didn't all look like faceless minions or something. A lot of them looked like people that were just also trying to make their way in the world. So it wasn't just this game, Last of Us 2, that gave us that idea that people had their own stories. People had their own backgrounds and everything. The Last of Us 1 had that sort of that sort of playthrough also. We got to see some people maybe have, in their even the Fireflies. You work with the Fireflies in the beginning and then you kind of turn against them. So all these people have their own backgrounds, just like you did, just like Joel did. They did a very good job at giving us this kind of lived-in, breathing world. And they did that with not only with costumes and different kind of character looks, appearances, but they also did that with little details, like they would little details about movement and how they moved and how they acted and spoke and everything. So yeah, we got to see that also in Last of Us 1.
Yeah. She brought up the term "the other," which is a very specific term in cognitive, either psych or I can't remember which aspect of philosophy. And it's such a broad, generic term, and I don't think she's using it correctly, unless she's trying to make the argument that because you're playing a player character, that thus you can associate the other with them regardless of who they are.
It's Husserl. It's, by the way, sorry.
Yes, I don't remember the exact name of the philosopher, but it's such a specific thing. I never studied it, but I do know the term, and it's just like she just says terms, and
it's sorry, go on.
It drives me nuts. She has literary terms now, philosophy terms now, psych terms. It's like, what are you talking about? You can't just use words and expect your audience to understand it or to embrace it. Use the term, define it, explain it. What is other? Abby is the other? In what capacity? Is she a self? Is she a rebellion against society? Clearly not. She's clearly in a society. She likes her term. She likes her role. What are you talking about?
She lives in a society.
Yes.
Oh, man.
I think the final lesson is that even the first one, they had this whole thing laid out. That people are people. Okay, it didn't stop Ellie from killing those guys. It didn't stop Joel from killing those guys. That Joel and Ellie, as characters, know that these people have backgrounds and their own stories. They're the protagonists of their own story because everyone is. But that didn't stop them. Okay, that didn't stop them. And what lessons did they learn? That, okay, this is wrong, so I'm just going to let them kill me. What's the alternative? This is a zombie apocalypse. It doesn't matter how much you sympathize with your enemy. It's kill or be killed. And yeah, Ellie doesn't. Ellie sees Abby kill the person who was her mentor. It doesn't matter how much she empathized with her. It doesn't matter. It's regardless of how bad her life is. Ellie's going to hate her. Ellie's going to want revenge. That's the whole thing. It's going to take something huge, enormous, to get her to stop killing Abby and to forgive her or to stop that pursuit. It's going to take something personal. It's going to take something that has to break that animosity toward Abby. For whatever it is possible, but it's going to take a lot. It's going to be like a whole arc in and of itself.
Here's an interesting.
I think it's funny that we're talking about the other when it comes to video games, because the idea of video games, as Smud has mentioned, the locus of control, is essentially taking over for the other. The entire idea of video games is that we assume the identity of the other. I'm not the courier from Fallout New Vegas. I'm not, Ken from Street Fighter. I'm not Super Mario. The whole point is that I'm taking over a personality. I am role-playing. Video gamers are the last people that you need to convince to have empathy. We've done it. We've played 1 million different people. We've killed 1 million different people. We've saved in worlds. We've destroyed them, blew up Megaton, saved Megaton. How many times do we have to do this rigmarole? And I realize, and my judgment, my assertion, is that I think that people that are not used to playing a lot of video games, that are highly affected by video games, play these games and they go, oh my God, it's so unique and da-da-da. And the rest of us are like, man, I've done that like 20 times already. Where have you been? And I think that the essential issue that has to do with a lot of gamer character and the fact that it's such a wide, expensive, and massive hobby now is that, the meme where people say gamers are like the most oppressed or whatever. We're not the most oppressed, but gamers are people that are not respected as people that are like, since they're not into high art, they play video games. They're treated with this colloquial, detrimental attitude, as opposed to admitting that we've been through a lot of different storytelling outcomes. We've been through all sorts of different kinds of takes on tales about people, perspectives, philosophies, because we've been put into these different situations with our imagination. And I think that's the primary thing that pisses everybody off when they watch these videos, because it's like, it's so insulting to our intelligence. It's insulting to our collective history. It's like the last however many years you've been playing video games didn't happen, because all of a sudden The Last of Us 2 shows up and is better than everything without any kind of definition. It is the assumption that we have not been doing this the entire time, accepting the other as our personality for the sake of a narrative, for the sake of our own enjoyment, because we seek that out. That's the point of escapism. And these people want to take escapism and try and flip it back around so that our escapism is just a referendum on our reality in a way that is condemning our perspective. And I just don't agree with that. I don't agree with the perspective on the cycle of revenge that's in The Last of Us 2, because I think it's unwarranted. I don't think that there's a moment in the games where it says that revenge is bad outside of the dialogue, which is like The Last Jedi, where Yoda says like failure is the best teacher. Maybe success is the best teacher. Where's the dialectic in the actual story, in the actions versus the characters speaking, where you listen to in real life, for example, and I know I'm going on, but I'll round out here. In real life, you listen to somebody, you take their advice, and you either succeed or fail, and you're going to learn something from it. But you have to test something that somebody says to you on your own, and that's the point of the actions of a character that are being taken after they get information from a mentor, or they get bad information from the antagonist, or they have the initial incident that sets them off on their own journey. What we are getting now from stories is we're getting lectured to. And we're supposed to just assume that the lecturer or the writer is correct, and that we have to take their perspective as we go through the story beats, and those story beats are proof, when they're not proving the point. We're not set into a position where maybe revenge is the right idea, and maybe it's not, and here's how it plays out. What we get instead is a series of emotional vignettes, as I've said before, that are just like, feel bad here, now do you understand? Now do you understand that Joel was a bad guy? Huh? I'm like, no, I don't agree.
And there's a good example with Just Right's understanding of show don't tell with The Last Jedi. If it wasn't for Yoda, they wouldn't be able to understand the theme of The Last Jedi, because he tells you, by the way, this is the theme. Oh, really? Wouldn't it be nice if the actual story showed us what the theme was, so we could all understand it properly, organically, as you should understand themes? So they want people, like this mentality, want people or the audience to feel things. Just feel them. And by the way, I'm going to explain it to you what that means if you're so confused, because feelings are, of course, very clear. Everyone has the same feeling, of course. So these mentalities are just interpretive, lecturing. They're trying to work backwards. Like, oh, look at this thing. It must mean something. Let me go back through the narrative, and then I'll start postulating and then brainstorming and go, oh, this is exactly what they've been trying to do. Of course, the people who make the game of course, that's what I was doing. Yes, that's why you should like it. It's like, yeah, of course, right. I'm sure, Druckmann, that's exactly how everyone should have thought, even though you have said that the game is divisive and not everyone will like it. So
keep in mind that Naughty Dog and Druckmann, apparently, Sony anyway, so protective of this game that if you gave a less than perfect review of it, they will come to your door and they'll ask why. So,
yeah, there was stories, I think, with IGN, or not IGN, but maybe some official reviews. They came out and they said, oh, this game is great. But, they had some small criticisms. And they're like, hey, we want to maybe say that you didn't treat our game very fairly.
Yeah, it's almost like a mafia tactics, going to their door saying, hey, you didn't pay your protection this month.
Hey, you said some very mean things. It's like, well, I just gave you like a 9 out of 10. It's like that 1 point, man. It was very mean.
It's a nice, it's a nice critique job you have there. Here. Shame if something would happen to it. All right, give us a 10 out of 10, or else we're going to have to discredit you.
This is a little misogynistic. If you don't want it to be, you could pay us for consulting.
Nice hobby you have here. A little sexist, don't you think?
Yeah, a little sexist. Would be bad if there were some articles written about it, huh?
Anyway, we've got 4 super chats to go through. We're about more than halfway done. I think we're okay for time.
Yeah.
Andrew Clark, when a character doesn't connect a new situation to an old lesson, so this is the idea of a story teaching as well as entertaining, a flashback can refocus them. That is certainly a technique, yes. But Ellie's situation with Joel, regards to the ending, doesn't connect to Abby. Exactly. It's a 2-second thing where you don't have the context of what that meant, aside from seeing Joel in a flashback saying, oh, this is why you're doing it. Yes, thank you. Keep going. And then she stops, and you're like, wait, why? And then we have to go all the way back to the farm where she's walked across the country or whatever. And then we see the continuation of that scene, and where she says, well, I might begin to forgive you. So the sentiment then becomes, oh, so then you suddenly just forgave Abby, or you're beginning to forgive Abby, and in order to do that, you have to keep her alive? I don't get it. Like, what does that mean? Does that mean you're going to be able to sleep well tonight? Is that justice to you, that you've discovered peace and forgiveness? I don't understand. How does that connect? So I think it's a pretty poignant sentence there from Andrew, because this is what the whole hoopla is about. If you want us to forgive Abby, if you want Ellie to forgive Abby, show us how that works, how it works in her head, why it works the way it does. You can't just show us a cutscene where they talk about forgiveness. That doesn't work, okay? It's like, I'm going to bake a cake, and I talked about baking a cake, therefore I'm going to bake it. It's like, no, you actually have to do the legwork and do it and go through with it. But in this case, you're like about to take the cake out of the oven. You're halfway, you're like 2% done. And then it's like, I can't do this anymore. And you just walk away from the cake baking. It's a silly argument. I don't understand what the scene meant. Unless it was the spirit of forgiveness, not actual forgiveness. Anyway, here's 99 Kresnik. Thank you. Hi, Smud. The cycle of violence thing reminds me of the Heinlein quote from Star Trek Troopers. Oh, great. That violence has solved more problems than anything else. Ask Garth. That's someone from Carthus, yeah. Yeah, well, the wonderful... was Carthaginian, was that Rome or Greek? I'm trying to remember. Carthage. I think it was Rome. But yeah, so that's great. I mean, if that's the message of your story, that's great.
There was, by the way, there was a Punic Carthage. That's, the Phoenician city-state.
Oh, really? I'm trying to remember.
Yeah, and then it became Roman Carthage. That was the battle, yeah. Somebody mentioned that earlier. They were saying that if the series of the cycle of revenge is so wrong, why don't you ask a Carthaginian?
Right. Okay, well, that is obvious, okay? Violence bad. We get it. We don't need a narrative to show us that. I think any story that has violence, which is like, again, 90 to 95% of all stories involve death or about death. No shit. Pain hurts. Do you need that lesson taught to you? Sugar is sweet. Water is wet. I mean, we can keep going. But we don't need an
entire... No. Don't say water is wet. You'll start a whole other conversation.
Well, we don't do that on EFAP. We don't give into ridiculous anecdotes and go off on tangents too much. So.
R.I.P. to Gracchus. Anyway, that's all I have to say.
I think these videos do cause us to repeat a lot of the same points.
Yeah, but it's just to clarify that you don't need a extremely visceral showcase of a wartime story where the only lesson you learn is war is bad. War brings death. Knife wounds cause bleeding. Pain hurts. It's like, thank you. A is A. I get it. That's not a story worth telling. I'm sorry. That's not why we read stories. Or watch any kind of media for that matter. John Limley.
No.
Hot take, Bioshock Infinite's Deus Ex Machina ending of there's always a lighthouse makes more sense than Ellie no longer wanting to kill Abby. I have a problem with that quote as well, because we're talking about infinity, and probability can have all sorts of options. So you're talking about quantum theory and the possibility of a dimension where this doesn't happen, which I can wrap my brain around, at least the concept of, as opposed to Ellie not killing Abby. Yes.
Oh, that was a completely different super chat than by John Lenny. John, you did another one saying water itself isn't actually wet though, and I was like saying no to like him bringing that up.
We'll get there, I'm sure. I'm just reading them down the list. Bogue, what would be their opinion? If Abby wore a MAGA hat? Oh my. Oh boy.
It'd be very different.
I'm not American, but I'm not. I mean, it really wouldn't mean anything to me, but I imagine that'd be pretty.
But to them, it would be big.
Be divisive, yeah, right. That would be funny. I'd actually laugh at that. John Lemley, Carthage was Eastern Rome. Okay, good to know. I don't remember all my tribes of Rome or my villages of Greece. John Limley again. Water itself isn't actually wet, though. Okay. That's just from a certain point of view.
Let's move on. Move on from the water conversation. We're not having this.
Varied from person to person because there is no difficulty setting in the game or in life to make forgiving someone easier. It is a...
Oh, isn't that
I like
clever?
That statement.
Isn't that clever?
I like that statement because it's like, yeah, video games, life, they're different. Yay.
Water's wet. A is A. Thank you very much.
Water's not wet, but it's next to other water that it's wet. Blah, 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 blah. My top comment on, one of the top comments on Mahler's, one of his videos, I don't remember, I think it's part 2 or The Last Jedi or whatever, is like, is me making fun of that. And it set off a firestorm in the comment section. And I can just go back and look at that anytime. Just be like, ha 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 ha. Yes, argue over the wetness. That's what the Phantom Menace was really about. The Jedi were trying to say that water was wet, and then the Sith know that the water isn't actually wet. But it's not something the Jedi would tell you.
I think in about like an hour and 12 minutes, LitDev wants to do his D&D.
Okay, let's get through the super chats. We'll try blast through this if we can. In half an hour. Okay. John Lemley again. 2.5 years of Latin class finally paid off for once. Hey, Latin class is cool. You can do some really great memorization of football chants. It's fantastic. Latin is a cool language. Okay, let's keep going.
Wildly provocative and tumultuously entertaining requests that we try to accept that when Abby killed Joel, she was in the exact same pain that we are in now. That's why you relive Seattle
Bored and tired. Okay.
days 1 through 3 from the perspective of a character whose story is about accepting the identity of the other. As Abby learns to empathize.
No, it's not. She's not accepting the identity of anyone. That's not in the story. I'm sorry. Unless they're referring to the other as the philosophical term. But again, she's not making the distinction. She didn't define the term. She just assumes we know what she's talking about.
With members of an enemy faction known as Scars, the player learns to empathize with an enemy known as Abby. And when the sun sets on the final day for a second time, you discover the atrocities that you committed on yourself. Naughty Dog's intention for—
I didn't do shit, boy. I didn't do anything. It's all you. I didn't direct the script. I didn't write the story. I didn't make the choices.
And the only reason that Abby cares about Lev is because Lev saved her. And for some strange reason, she goes back. There's no great catharsis. There's no great moment of realization. She wakes up after sleeping with Owen and goes, "Oh, I should go check on those kids." That's it. There's no like other rationale. None. She didn't become a better person. She didn't help someone in the process. She already helped someone. She helped them survive. Her job's done. Nope. Got to trek all the way back. Make sure they're good. Why? We don't know. Here's Lenny the Shark. Byzantine was Eastern Rome. Constantinople was its capital. Water isn't wet. John Lemley is rich. These are all true statements. And I'm not going to comment on them further.
Making you play as two separate characters with two separate stories was to cause a complete loss of subjective self-identity when their timelines—
What the hell is subjective self-identity? Can anyone tell me?
It's thinking that having the freedom to think that water is wet. And
so it's called thinking.
Couldn't you argue that the water is wet itself?
The water identifies as wet. What now, atheist?
Checkmate. You can't argue against the water that identifies as wet.
Yeah, that's water plural. It's plural, so that means that. No, I'm just kidding. I don't give a shit about this argument. All I care about is does the water have alcohol in it? No.
Is the water vodka? I don't know. Yeah.
Is the water vodka, my friend? This is what we will drink to. The wetness.
Merge. Questioning who you are and what you believe has been a central theme the whole game. Almost every major character you've met has been trying to figure it out for themselves.
No, they haven't. What are you talking about? Who does this? The only person who does this is Lev. Because he thinks he's a boy. That's it. We don't even need that element in the story. You could have, again, I say this a third time, you could have shaved his head for any reason. The story would have gone just fine. No difference. It didn't have to be a sexual identity thing. It was just a thing for him to go back to his mom. And his mom to try and kill him. That's it.
I hate this side story where it's like, oh, my identity, transgender. It's like, you know that they just threw that in there into their apocalypse game.
I get it.
For no fucking reason.
Yeah, they threw it in, but it doesn't hurt anything. It doesn't damage anything. It's just there, and they wanted to make the religious group being fundamentalists so that they're extreme. I was like, yep, that's fine. I get it. Let's go on. It's just a stupid thing because Lev should know his or her mother because Yara clearly does. So what the hell happened? How could he not know? Like, how could they not know the temperament of their mom? That if they say something against the religion, that the mom would go freak out. So that's the disconnect. And they shove these things in not because of the politics, it's because they wanted to have a scenario pop up later. And the narrative is so stupid and so drivel because there's very little dialogue to explain things. It's like, oh, I just told my mother my other name. You're like, what? No. Joe Crazy. Anakin, is it possible to learn if water is truly wet? Palpatine, not from a Jedi. I knew someone was going to say that. I knew it.
Not for me, Fab.
You guys. John Lemley. Isn't subjective self-identity just self-identity? Yeah, it's subjective. Anything is whatever you want to call it. This is when people use adjectives or adverbs. It's just like, do you know why you're using all these words, especially this girlfriend reviews person. It's just silly. Bishop Cruz. Wonder how many of these people would like Abby if she was a man but did the exact same evil stuff.
Oh, of course not. Of course not. And that should be a bigger thing that people touch on, but they never do it because it's always the gamers, you know. But absolutely, I agree. If Abby was a dude, then an entirely different audience would be upset. So it's interesting.
I don't know about how big this backlash was, but I know in my personal group, when we watched Walking Dead, and the character of Abraham came in, you know, the guy that was huge, beefy muscles. We all made fun of that guy because how does this guy have all this muscle in the zombie apocalypse? So it wasn't just because Abby's a girl that they were complaining about it. Because I know from personal experience that people just they put these things together. Zombie apocalypse, giant muscles as if you go to the gym every day. It doesn't really compute. It's just kind of natural.
Plus, in the game, they reference her being gigantic 2 or 3 times. So even the characters in the game are like, yeah, she's built like an ox. She's huge.
That doesn't make any sense. Like Joel, if anyone should be jacked, it should be Joel, because he's going around shooting people all day. But he's not. He's like a gladiator sort of body, like an old-fashioned gladiator sort of body. Maybe half muscle, half fat. Like he's a kind of a dad bod. It doesn't make that much sense for you to be that beefy, to be abnormally beefy in a zombie apocalypse, unless people are just, you know, feeding you protein drink stuff.
Yeah, like protein shakes, working out more than Arnold Schwarzenegger.
Yeah, so there are actual reasons, legitimate reasons, and even if we acknowledge it as fiction, it's the fact that this is supposed to be a realistic world. They've made it realistic, and even the zombie apocalypse is not just it's just some random virus. It's actually a real thing that actually occurs in real life in nature. It happened to adapt to humans. That's the only thing that's different. It wasn't adapted in a lab or something. It magically brings people back to life. It's they really had a big focus on realism here, and when you have someone like Abby all of a sudden coming out of nowhere, and a realistic world, or a world that focuses on realism, just like Walking Dead sort of did, it really stands out when you have an unrealistic looking character in there. It's like Abraham and Walking Dead.
One of the things that bothers me about the whole thing is that it's 25 years after the Cordyceps thing. It's 5 years after Tilo, the first one. And there's no, like, you'd think that in that time period, a group of collected people would make, like, the Enclave or something, or the Brotherhood of Steel from Fallout. You'd think that there would be more forward momentum. They're comfortable enough to have a dance with all these lights. They have power generators and stuff like that. But then at the same time, they don't have any other civilization except for this small group of people that Joel is leading, or these people. It's like, what happened to rebuilding the world? Are we just going to continually destroy the world over and over again? I don't think that that's how it's going to work if there's an apocalypse. I think people are going to want to get back to a peaceful existence as soon as possible. I don't know how long that's going to take. I don't know if it's going to revert to, you know, the status quo that we have right now, where like there's the police and everything is nice and stuff. But I highly, highly doubt that anything like what we saw in The Last of Us 2 would be the priority set for somebody that was in the apocalypse. That they would just, you know, that this minor revenge story would be more important to the narrative, that would be more impacting to the world than anything else that's going on. You would think that a small, and it's not even small, but like a personal conflict between these two people and then their organizations subsequently wouldn't consume everything, but it really feels like it consumes the entire story.
Oh god.
And that I've said that a million times.
Ellie destroys, I think, the entire WLF on her own, just single-handedly. Like, it's crazy how much body she goes through. Abby,
yeah, it really is.
Abby not as much, but still a lot. It's just constant carnage. You're just like, holy shit, who's left of these people?
The Last of Us.
Yeah,
it's just Ellie and it's like so dumb. That's what makes it so stupid to me. Is like we have plot armor for our main characters because we have to follow them. They're super important, but then, you know, nobody else is really that important.
They all get to die.
Yay!
It's so crazy. The true hero of the game is Fat Geralt. There's a few mods and few ways to make Geralt fat, and certain.
The true hero the true hero of the game is the guy that comes across with the biggest sandwich and apologizes. He has the best character arc because he goes from being like prejudiced to being like, okay, that was kind of wrong. I shouldn't have done that.
In fact, the very first video I actually put on YouTube is it better for a good person to be good, or is it better for a guy who had some bigotry in him, some sort of racism in him, some sort of trait that we view to be bad normally, and then he does the right thing anyway? Like, what if someone like that guy in the game? What if a guy who hated I don't know, lesbians or whatever, but he went and apologized to them anyway? Maybe he still hates them. Maybe he still doesn't like. Maybe he's still a bigot. But he apparently he swallowed down that pride and said, "I'm sorry, that was wrong of me," because it was. And so he might still hold his prejudices, but it's his actions that we see that really characterize him, and that paint his character as, even though he has certain views, has certain opinions that are negative, that he still knows that he did wrong. And that's the question is that heroic, or is someone who doesn't have those in the first place more heroic? Is it more heroic to just do something that's easy, or more heroic to do something that's wrong, or to something that's right, even though you feel it's wrong, or you know it's against your opinions or your beliefs, but you do the right thing anyway? Now compare that to Abby, where she does something horrifically bad, and instead of trying to make up for that, she pets some dogs, she reads some books, she talks to some friends, she saves a kid who saved her, and then goes back and saves them again, and then goes back to save them again, and then she helps being on the other side of the war of the group she was with for all this time, and that's about it. She gets caught, and that's that. That's her arc. She just goes from horrible thing, pets some dogs, and gets caught up in war. Not quite the same. You're not exactly going from bottom to up. You're just going from bottom, and you're just sort of doing stuff, like just doing stuff, as if there's no plot. It's almost a farce to try and identify with. Well, you can identify with her, but you just can't care for her. And if you had that redemption arc where she says, "I'm sorry, I'm trying to fix things, I'm trying to make things better," then you might care. But she doesn't care. It's a good thing. Killing Joel is good. All her friends agree. They may not like how it got to them, because there's 2 points with Mel and Owen, because it caused them to lose out in life and all the confusion they're in, because Owen wanted to be with Abby, etc. But she's trying to fix that mistake, and she ends up sleeping with him, and all these other things that happen. And Mel is aware of this, and that's why she's angry. She doesn't tell us that. We can only assume that she knows what's going on. She's not a moron. She's a surgeon. She knows some things about the body and how people behave. So, like, that's at least some of the non-spoken events we can derive from these characters. So
it's funny because like Abby's father is like a surgeon, right?
He's a neurosurgeon, apparently.
Is there a moment where that is part of Abby's character? Like she picked up a couple things?
Nothing.
I don't remember.
Nothing. There's a
nothing, right?
Flashback with the zebra. That's about it.
Now, is there anything that Ellie shows to have learned from Joel from the last game in The Last of Us 2?
Swimming. We don't know how, but now she can swim, and we can assume that's from Joel, because in the first game, it was a big point. You could not put Ellie in the water, so you had to put her on a raft, and you had to guide her around. So that's a big thing in this game.
Right, I remember that.
Yeah. Definitely playing the guitar, shooting, all sorts of little things in flashbacks where he's always trying to teach her something. So that's kind of how a dad-daughter relationship anyway.
So those done in flashbacks in the game?
Yeah.
Well, why couldn't we have that?
I don't know.
Why couldn't we have like the first part of the game, just Ellie and Joel being together? Maybe you play as Ellie, and then Joel's like the NPC. Like the first game, Joel was the main character and Ellie was the NPC. We have it switched in the second game. Then we have organic bonding rather than here's a snapshot of them bonding.
Isn't it just so insulting that like you're cutting Abby out of the game and then I'm like, oh wow, LiteratureDevil, you're really you're telling a really interesting story all of a sudden. What's going on?
Let the villain be a villain. Work with what people want. Characterize as you wish, and then go for it. I mean, that's pretty simple stuff.
You can have a sympathetic villain, but you can't. It's the person who kills Joel is still a villain. You can sympathize with them, you can empathize with them all you want. The game and the writers can make you or manipulate you into empathizing or sympathizing with the villain, but they're still a villain. Abby is still the person that she wants to take down at the very end.
Yeah.
Well, according to reader response theory that I learned from watching Just Right, I don't consider Abby to be a villain, which means that Abby's not a villain, which means that what's actually happening is not that interesting because, if it was really interesting, then they would change the way that I feel about it. But since I decide because of reader response theory, it can be as clever or as unclever or stupid as I choose it to be.
The game actually boiled this down to its basic principles. It wasn't this specifically, obviously, but he mentioned on how to make a very interesting narrative, and that's get one person, get one character, and then take a second character, and then give them goals, and then have those goals somehow be counter to each other. Have them conflict.
Yes.
So Ellie wants Joel to be alive. Abby wants Joel dead. That's a really good conflicting thing right here. And so you have the protagonist, which is usually the hero. Then you have an antagonist, which is usually the villain. And so that's a simple setup. And that's from a guy who's made success after success after success writing. He knows that you can have an empathetic villain. He's made many of them. He knows you can have a sympathetic villain. You can feel sorry for them, but he knows at the very end of the day, they're still villains. You want the good guy to overcome them in one way or another. If that's not killing, then it's like making peace with them or forgiving them. Whatever the story or narrative leads you to. Now, the story or narrative of Last of Us 2 seems to be a very plain revenge story, which when I say plain, it's not like Katara, for example, like we talked about earlier.
Oh, yeah, that's a good one. Yeah.
As Shani brought up earlier, where the story is not about Katara's revenge story. Now, she goes off her revenge. The story is not about her revenge. It's about, is she going to be able to carry out or not? Is she going to sully her hands, or is she going to, draw back and remember who she really is? Now, the story of Ellie, as far as I know, is just a story of her going off for revenge. That's the entire story. Ellie's already okay with killing.
All right, let's keep going. We've got 3 more minutes. I'm going to read some super chats. Jod Lenley, Chris Redfield punching a boulder in the middle of a volcano. That's Resident Evil 4 or 5? I can't remember. Got more mockery than Abby. Okay. But of course, gamers are sexist. Yeah. Yep. We love watching big, not so muscular men punch boulders unbelievably. Yeah.
Gamers are bad. We know from this video that gamers are bad, but she gave us an option of connecting how they're bad. Are they sexist? Are they transphobic? Are they just bigot, mad guys who just are just stuck in their traditions, who just I want this and that. I just want to shoot people or something like that. They can't handle this new stuff. How are gamers bad? We don't know. But the insinuation is that gamers are just mad because Abby just showed up and said hi, and gamers just, according to her clip, crap their pants in anger.
Here's Fran Mataraki. Real quick, is Fat Geralt daddy material? Yes, he is. Fat Geralt is daddy material.
Who is Fat Geralt, by the way?
You've never seen Fat Geralt?
It's the guy that punches one of the characters in a scene, and he looks exactly like Geralt, but with a lot of weight put on, and he's wearing these sunglasses. He's wearing the same. Everybody in The Last of Us shops at Old Navy or something, and wears like the same generic, boring shit, which is bizarre to me in an apocalypse. There's no like crazy people that are wearing like leather gear or anything like that. There's no
Ruby Rod or anything.
There's none of that. There's nobody wearing like an astronaut outfit for fun.
Yeah, there's a lot of personality in Fat Geralt. It's kind of it happens so quick. It's like, wow, this guy sounds amazing, and then he gets shot and killed. So all right, fine. But yeah, he's a slaver. It's kind of cool. Fine. Lenny the Shark. Here we go. The Last of Us 2 is only a sequel if you interpret it as one. Quentin said that about The Last Jedi. Oh dear. Well,
yeah.
Quentin.
You didn't know that?
Episode 8 is just a movie. It's just, it's not Star Wars. It's just a movie. Luke Skywalker is just a name.
How does someone seriously? It's only a sequel if you interpret. It's a sequel. It's a sequel.
It's just a number.
Objectively a story which takes place after the previous story.
It's objectively a sequel. You can interpret it as not a sequel, but you would be wrong.
That's the whole Jared argument or whatever.
Number 2 is just possibly after number 1. I mean, it's
and now you know how it feels. Only interactive media can even attempt to create an ego death quite like this.
Oh, bullshit. Just shut up. That's the dumbest thing you've said so far. Ego death. What are you talking about?
I love these. I wish they explained more what these mean. What is ego death?
Yeah, I'm trying to figure out what the hell that means. They're trying to say that, like,
Is that
he cares about, like, a killing of a character that you care about. Is that what the?
Can I make it that has a id death or a super ego death? Or is it...
There's so much science fiction that deals with moving your consciousness into other bodies and artificial organisms, etc., etc. This is nothing special. I've never heard the term ego death unless it's in a certain context. And she's been using all these words from psych and philosophy, so I'm assuming that's where she got it. But without reference, again, I don't know what she's talking about. Without definition, she may have said, "Tiger tail ice cream it can only happen in a video game." In context, you're like, why? I don't know.
Here's a question: can you hear a high-pitched whining in the background?
What am I?
No, can you hear it through my mic?
No, you're fine.
Not really. Not that I can think of.
I don't know why you can't hear it, but I'm kind of glad because my boiler just keeps making these, like, off random. It will just make a high-pitched whine sound, and I really hope this doesn't turn out on the recording. I really hope this doesn't turn the recording. I really hope this doesn't turn the recording.
Shani, are you like a mutant from DS9 who could hear like a certain bulkhead in the room?
I guess that's what it feels like.
Yeah. All right, here's John Lemley's Smudboy. He's a slaver. It's kind of cool. You know what? For the stupid scene at the end, as dumb as that whole setup is, he has a lot of personality for the leader. Like, he pulls an arrow out of the guy's shoulder. He's like, "Yeah, you'll be fine." Like, yeah, he's got a tough son of a gun. And he has slavers who, I guess I don't know.
Is it ego death or ego depth?
I think it's ego death.
I heard ego death.
Yeah.
If it's depth, I wish you explained that one even more than ego death.
Like, the only in a way I could interpret ego death is like a death of someone's ego, but the way she's inferring it about Joel.
But that's not ego death because you don't get to control Joel. So, what is she?
What's an ego death? Okay, I've got to Google this. Ego death.
Please go ahead, Shani. Please report back with an essay tomorrow at 4 o'clock and cite your sources.
Ego death is a complete loss of a subjective self-identity.
It's what happens when you do acid in the desert and you're like, oh my god. What is the... oh, man.
Okay, so it's according to Google and Wikipedia, it is a loss of self-identity, of subjective self-identity. Anyway.
Here, I got the quote for this. Today, a young man on acid realized that all matter is merely energy condensed to a slow vibration, that we are all one consciousness experiencing itself subjectively. There is no such thing as death. Life is only a dream, and we are the imagination of ourselves. Here's Tom with the weather.
That from Urban Dictionary.
No, I'm taking that from Bill fucking Hicks.
Yeah, that's Bill Hicks.
You know what, funny enough, Urban Dictionary had a very similar quote.
Bill Hicks is funny. He's very, very left, but he's very, very funny.
Absolutely.
I miss Bill Hicks.
Okay, so going to what she's talking about. So what is the complete loss of self-identity? Who's losing the self-identity?
Oh, God, I don't know.
Okay, it's like going back to... Like, we've been posed a question here, and we want to know the answer.
All right. In stories, when you're talking about character growth, you're talking about a character shedding off their previous persona and becoming another character. You're not killing yourself. So I assume because she's talking about a video game and the control and focus is on a character, if you were Joel, then you could argue, well, my identity of Joel is gone because he's actually dead. But not when you're talking about, well, now I'm playing as Ellie, therefore my ego of Abby is gone? I guess? But it doesn't really make too much sense when you're talking about the dying of an ego.
Have we gone far? Does she go into it? Maybe she goes into it.
Yeah, let's find out. I'm going to read some super chats because they go into that as well. Someone looked at ego death and said brilliant. You know what? I would not be surprised if the people who take a first-year course in anything post-secondary education, like an arts and science degree, they just take whatever's there, they fail, or they don't get it, and then they go, hey, this reminds me of something I read 10 years ago or whatever. What a brilliant suggestion there, Druckmann. Fantastic. It could be that, because there's plenty of failed people from university going into creative outlets and writing crap. So I wouldn't be surprised. John Lemley. Wow, ego death. Yet again, something Kanye discusses better than Druckmann or Last of Us 2 Apologist.
Oh, yeah.
His first 2 albums, I would say, are awesome. So he might be saying something about stuff there. Maybe not on his Twitter feed.
I would play a video game. I would play a Hideo Kojima Kanye West collab video game any day of the week.
God. Oh my goodness.
It'd be insane.
I'm just trying to
That'd be
fathom
insane.
that.
It'd be like Metal Gear Solid, but with like Kanye music and stuff.
Whoa. It's like
imagine like a Afro Samurai, like Afro Samurai, but with like a MGS5 style story.
Hell yeah, dude! It's all about stealthing, and it's about you know what it is? It's about because you know Kanye. It'd be like about getting the Holy Grail to back to God, and then you have to climb up like Mount Olympus, and then like you have to fight against. Yeah, man, put me in charge. Someone give me hundreds of millions of dollars. I won't disappoint. I promise. I promise you, I will do my job.
So MGS2 is jazzy and something Kanye will be hip hop ish. I don't know.
Hell yeah.
Okay.
Anyway, let's not get through this because, by the way, everybody here, we are going to be doing a D&D Star Wars game later, and I haven't played a tabletop in a really long time. I think LiteratureDevil is going to be the DM, which is amazing. That's like a dream come true. So we're going to try and knock through this, and then hopefully we'll see some of you guys there later. And I don't expect all you guys, but only the cool ones. No, I'm just kidding.
Honestly, I'm kind of excited to listen to LitDev's voice just say, you walk into a room.
You walk into a room.
You're in a world.
It's completely empty, except for one.
There's nanomachines.
Nanomachines, son. It's a completely empty room, except for one solitary statue.
Oh no! It's gonna be great. And that statue's Kanye West. No.
And it begins to tell you the story of the ego death of the universe.
The battle droids are guarding Kanye West statue.
We have to free Kanye from his the carbonite freezing that he's in, and so he can lead us to victory because he's like the Avatar.
He's Mace Windu's brother.
He's Mace Windu. He has the only other purple lightsaber.
Yeah. Here's 2 super chats from John Lemley. I'm going to keep reading them. Ego death is the idea of happiness coming from removing the self. Blame Carl Jung. Okay, interesting. Kanye had a feature on a song that came out July 1st called Ego Death. Really? It's very 90s house music inspired, and his verse is legitimately great. I would not be surprised if that were the case. Yeah. 90s house music is good.
I see, Flint Blackwood says, you walk into a womb.
No!
No! A womb within a womb.
Oh God, no!
All right,
Don't
Joe
start
Crazy.
this. Don't put us there,
guys. If you keep sending me super chats, I'm gonna keep going. So, Joe Crazy. The Kanye Kojima collab will be Snake quoting songs from Kanye's. Oh, if you get David Hayter to quote anything from
I can do that.
Kanye, that would be amazing.
Yeah, let me find. Let's keep moving, and I'll drop some Kanye
power.
quotes.
All right.
Metal Gear has all that power.
George Bush doesn't care about black people.
That's perfect.
Mike Myers is like, what?
If I get bleach on my T-shirt, I'm gonna feel like an asshole.
Bravo.
Oh my god. Good.
no!
Save Martha.
Lev!
Yes.
Oh, cut her!
Oh, thank
Yeah,
God.
do it.
Oh my god.
Lev, show
Do
us
it.
reason, please. Yes.
And finally, we've reached the 4th elephant in the room, the ending. Many people are upset
she
that a
didn't do it.
30-hour revenge plot doesn't end in revenge. But
I can't remember,
Is
was
that
that
Abby in the
before
background?
or after Ellie killed her pregnant friend?
Is that Abby? What happened to all her
After.
gains?
Oh yeah,
She
she got
lost
put to
the
a
gains.
stake and then she lost them because she was tied up.
Now she legitimately looks like the lead singer of Linkin Park.
Muscles aren't really balloons. I mean, how long has it been since
Apparently it's 3 months, but
3 months. I don't think you lose that much muscle mass in 3 months. I don't know.
Well, you die of dehydration before then, so they must have kept her alive somehow. But
yeah,
if you're
that's what Emily probably should have looked like this whole time.
Yeah, if you're being hung up by your wrists, every day for like all day, that you are stretching your shoulders and your sockets. So you're doing other things in the body that requires energy. So obviously she's exhausted. But I don't understand the story at that point because it's just a big time jump. And you're like, oh, okay, what the hell happened here? It's a bunch of slavers, so you assume they were punishing them in some disgusting fashion you can't quite describe. So, and by that time, Ellie is like delirious because she got stabbed or impaled in the side by a tree from Fat Geralt. So she's kind of, but then she goes through an entire resort where she slaughters all the slavers anyway. So she's pretty cognizant, so I don't know. They were trying to do too many things at the ending, obviously. Kind of like when you see the ending of a game, which I will not name. They're just slamming shit together to make sure it sticks. Arguably, the gameplay is one of the best in the game because there's so many things going on. You get all the cool weapons. There's lots of reactivity. You could send zombies off on people because they have them chained up. Anyway. Joe Crazy again. I want a Kanye West cover of Snake Eater. I do. You know what? So do I. That would be amazing.
That would be pretty awesome. Snake Eater was a great song.
That is like anytime I want to see a ladder where he's climbing the ladder and singing at the same time. That'd be amazing. Maybe he's playing Donkey Kong or something. That'd be great. Donkey Kong, Snake Eater, Kanye West. Yeah. Whew.
In revenge. But remember, plot does not govern story.
Oh, there it is again. Oh. Sorry, I just gotta clear my brain for a moment. Let's keep going.
Last of Us 1's Cure the Zombie Apocalypse plot was very famously thwarted by Joel's story. And once again...
Oh my... No, that's not how plots... The plot comes from character. If he wants to do something different, it's the same thing. It's still a plot.
In The Last of Us 2, each character's story concludes in defiance of the plot. It is reductionist to say that the lesson here is simply revenge is bad. The two of us who made this video are still grasping at the meaning of it all.
Oh, so you're ignorant and don't know what you're talking about. Thank you. That's fantastic.
Trying to recover from this emotionally challenging sequel. However, it is our belief that Naughty Dog gave us everything we needed to confidently decide that we wanted both of these women's suffering to end. If you reach...
Yes, with a bullet to the head. That would be a great...
Oh. Smudge, you sound done.
Well,
like
no.
You're just...
She's admitting she's ignorant. I don't know what it means, but we feel so many feelings. But I wish we could help these two. It's like, no, we don't. She's a villain. You don't identify with villains in a positive light. You respect them. Holy crap, Gul Dukat is evil. I love this guy. He's so nefarious and conniving and power hungry. I don't want to help him out. I want him to get his comeuppance. That's why you have villains. Not so they go on this giant redemption arc at the end of a story. That's stupid. You could do that at the beginning of a story. They did that with Londo Mollari in Babylon 5. After the near destruction of the Narn homeworld, and how he's constantly trying to seek redemption from others. It's like there are ways to do these stories, and these people don't reference any of them. Oh, this is how we want people to feel better. You're a murderer. You're a first-degree murderer in a world of no laws. What's fair is fair. Anyone can do the same to you, and you're a moron for letting them go every time. It's annoying. It's stupid. Anyway.
You know, you know what? There's a review. I bring this guy up a lot, but his name is FSF Debris. Yes. And he actually had a review on that Voyager episode where they encounter those guys who just, they steal organs from people.
Oh, yeah.
Because
the Vidians.
Yeah, the Vidians. They suffer from the phage. And he actually makes fun of Janeway for letting them go at the end because they came in, they stole Neelix's lungs.
Yeah.
And they put
and they're going to do that again. They're going to go out. They're going to steal other people's organs, and even then, in doing so to try and save themselves, they're trying to save one life.
Yeah.
By taking like what was it, like 50 lives? I don't know, probably about 10. But then those organs that they're using aren't going to sustain them for long, so they're just going to have to take more organs. Like, so, oh, that heart is now being infected by the phage. now we need another heart. That you over there, you're gonna die now we can use your organs.
That's pretty much what he said. That's pretty much his critique. That, yeah, Janeway, you let him go. Now they know that they can come over there to your ship and steal organs with impunity. And the worst they're going to get is a finger wag and a harsh lecture.
Oh no! Someone made me, transfer an organ donor. It's like, oh well. Turns out it was perfectly fine for me to steal his lungs, plural, like both of them.
We did find it funny that Neelix is such a loser. And then he went down and had his lungs stolen. I mean, what are the odds of coming back with your lungs stolen?
And he only has one left. Is that the case?
No. So what happened is he had him and Kess had a transfer.
There we go.
So Kess only has one lung. He only has one lung.
That's right. I recall that now. Okay, that was another episode though.
Explained because the Vidians could use some genetic magic and allow Kess's lung to work with Neelix.
There's lots of good factions in Voyager. That one and the warrior race of hunters. That was kind of cool too.
No, but the idea of letting them go, these people who were going to murder more people to save like 1 or 2 lives.
I like the Wild West nature of Voyager. I don't like the captain very much.
The captain we could do without.
Janeway.
No, of course not.
Yes, you did what you need to do to survive. Well, now I'm going to morally grandstand you, despite the fact I have not been in that situation. Everything in my 7 years in the Delta Quadrant have been a perfectly smooth ride, and now I'm going to judge you for your actions, Mr. Branson.
Exactly. And guess what? The Vidians came back over and over again. Yeah, because Janeway set the precedent of, well, we can go over there and steal their organs, and if we get caught, we can stop. They'll just let us go with the organs that we stole, and they'll just let us off with a harsh lecture at best.
All right, here's Bogue. Clear his throat. Rules of nature. I'm quite sure that's a reference to nanomachines. I could be wrong.
Nanomachines.
Nanomachines, son. Everybody loves that so much. Metal Gear. See, the thing about Kojima and the whole presentation of the Metal Gear series that's so great is that we understand that it's tongue-in-cheek. We get that some of these things don't make a lot of sense, but the idea stays solid. The idea of nanomachines actually scares the shit out of me because of Senator Armstrong. I'm like, well, hell, yeah. You could have this just senator dude destroy people and blow shit up and all this stuff with nanomachines, and the idea of giving people superhuman powers like that has a huge impact. And we're going to stick with philosophy and the morality of everything and just keep a very, very light but continuously consistent foundation. Even though the foundation isn't very realistic, like you have nuclear, what do we call it, walkers running around and that kind of thing. It still has stakes that you can follow along with. Yeah. And I love that.
As corny as everything is, as silly as everything is, you get it. You're like, yep, okay.
Yeah, exactly.
John Lemley, thank you, sir. I think this video has made my high-functioning autism recess to pre-diagnosis levels. It's a tough one. Yeah, it just sort of, we're in the last 2 minutes. This is when everything falls apart. And every one of these. Yeah, so.
Let's get it.
Joe Crazy, I like that. Abby grabs Ellie's arm. Nice knife, yeah.
The credits and wish you could have killed Abby, even after walking a mile in her shoes. Then you may have beat the game you were playing with your controller, but you may have lost the game that Naughty Dog was playing with your soul.
What?
Can I take that sentence seriously, or are we just to laugh at that? I don't.
What?
That's what a silly thing to say.
It's like, oh, you didn't feel the way that the game wanted you to feel. Like, therefore, you lost. It's like, what?
Pseudo-psychology nonsense is that? Safe space what is that? No.
You're not thinking with your soul.
That means nothing.
Thinking with your
butthole. It's the same mentality of like, oh, they... It was like, what was it? The whole idea is like, oh, we didn't fight, therefore we won. No, not that.
But you lost the battle for your soul. Mind. That means nothing.
Like, oh, you lost, therefore you won. Wait, what?
What if I wanted to? What if I didn't care about the soul stuff? I just wanted to kill Abby. What if happens then?
It's nonsense. You can't even make an allegory for it. It's just completely nonsense.
If I just wanted my catharsis, or if that's what I wanted to walk away with. What if I'd have no soul? This whole game with the soul is it's very, very non-inclusive to us without souls. Okay.
Also, this is implying that Naughty Dog actually had a thought. It's like, oh well, we're going to be playing this really meta game with our players, and we're going to be playing a game with their soul while they're playing the game.
It's hard to use these romantic terms and ideas, but you have to understand the context of that. And she's just saying things like this is normal parlance that we're supposed to understand from her because of all her other words that she hasn't used or defined previously. The best thing
seems to be the same quality of one of those college kids who are going to art school and everything. Oh, it's so touching. It hits you deep, and it's all about romanticization.
Yeah,
romanticization.
The best example I like when they go into romantic nature. This is because we like science fiction. What's that episode with Picard where he gets captured, and they're talking about Cardassia, how it's the military fed everyone's bellies, and Picard's like, well, her belly may be full, but her spirit will be empty. Talking about the culture, the wide beauty that was Cardassia before the military occupation of the whole society. So we can use it within the context of that because we know what he's talking about. He's talking about the whole culture of a people. But here, it's this weird commentary that a game developer or designer is trying to tell you a story that is supposed to make you feel something. And that's the purpose, because that's what she is. She's arguing from feelings here. And she's jumping to soul. The problem is, if she actually read some philosophy, which is post-Descartesian dualism, the soul, after 1563 or whatever the date was with Descartes, is equal to the word mind. So you're not actually feeling anything. You're thinking. That's why there is no theology in philosophy. It was discontinued, after Thomas Aquinas. So soul is mind. There is no distinction.
Well, we're nearly there. We're nearly finished.
Okay. What.jpg? Thank you, John. And again, John, I go to art school, so this feels like a personal attack. Oh, really? Oh.
Is that like a personal attack or something?
Is it a personal attack or something? Well, it's better than making a YouTube channel looking at fans worship you like Brie Larson did.
Oh god, I know it's there. I just haven't touched it yet. I just don't want to go near it.
I don't think we want to touch it. I haven't touched it either. It's like, why the hell would I go over and look at Brie Larson? Yeah. It's like, it's just she's not even like that bad. It's just ego kind of just swarms around her.
I like this. Like the shark. Ego death.
Just a cloud.
Ego death.exe has stopped working. That's good. Whatever that means.
My brain runs Linux, doesn't run exe files. No.
I'm BSD, excusez-moi.
Yeah, running the .deb file.
And isn't it fascinating that a cautionary tale about the damage grief can cause to ourselves and to others has resulted in months of confusion, anger, vitriol, bigotry, and threats of violence ever since Joel's death was leaked online? The climate surrounding this release is a remarkably notable example of life imitating art.
Oh my goodness.
Oh, it's life imitating art, guys.
You were so right. I didn't think that it was going to go so out there, but man, man. Imagine you look at the reaction that people have to something that they love, and you go, wow, they're just totally being an example of that story. Like, think about how dismissive that is.
Yeah, it's kind of like how people said, oh, well, the people who don't like The Last Jedi, well, they're just fighting what they hate instead of saving what they love. Is like, what the fuck? It's like, oh, they're part of the dark side. They're falling to the dark. It's like, what the fuck are you on about?
Yeah, it's very similar to the misinformation campaign by Kojima with MGS2. It's all about who controls the information. You thought it was going to be a game about Snake and blah blah blah. It's like that's called marketing. You lied to us, Kojima. So
about the memes, son.
Memes, all about who controls the memes.
He predicted 2016.
Yeah, he's a smart guy, but it's just, come on. He always argued after MGS1, every time he'd finish another game, that would be my last Metal Gear Solid. Now, I don't know if he was joking about that, because he wanted to move on to different things. But obviously Konami kept wanting to make more, so he kept doing it.
That's sort of what happened. He wanted to end his affiliation with Metal Gear Solid, but it was so profitable that Konami just forced him to do more and more and more.
Yeah.
He even begged the fans to stop buying Metal Gear so that Konami would ask him to stop making them.
One of the most popular franchises, yeah.
He probably just started making shit games so that he wouldn't have to.
Yeah, he's definitely a movie auteur, and that's why he loved the technology to do stuff. So, sadly, he made his own walking simulator or whatever the hell that was. So, okay, we got 4. Where are these super chats coming from? We got like 2 minutes left, or 1 minute left. Anywho, Bravo Games. Don't get the hate for this game, but I also don't get the fanboys as well. No, this game is not a 0 out of 10, but this game is not a 10 out of 10. Yeah, exactly. It's this messed up narrative that has a lot of fun gameplay, killer graphics, great sounds, all that stuff that you would expect from a sequel, except a disjointed narrative. So, and trying to, empathize with a villain, which is not the greatest way to do it. But hey,
I would say it's a 5 out of 10, but the 5 points purely come from the technical quality of the game, nothing from the story.
The visual spectacle, the gameplay, etc. Joe Crazy, oh please, yeah, oh please.exe. John Lemley, maybe Joel's death wouldn't have leaked online if Joel didn't die. Well, there are reasons why people in the leaks release stuff. It's not because, hey, I'm a cool hacker dude, if that's the actual story. I'm going to be a cool bro and show everyone stuff. No, they specifically took elements of that game to showcase it. That was the point. They wanted to show you what you're getting into. And once you see the death of a character in the first 10% of your game, you got a problem. John Limley, maybe Joel's death wouldn't have leaked online. Okay, I already said that. Coolman229, let's be kind. People who hate the game are bigots. Yeah, that's kind of what she's implying. With all the reviews, all the pre-release information. No, don't. Tom the Cat. This lady reminds me of Patrick Willems. Oh, that's a... Ooh, I wouldn't go that far. No, Patrick Willems...
It's quite a statement to make.
Yeah.
I mean, I wouldn't insult this lady that way.
That's like calling someone movie Bob. It's like it's so specific. Patrick
It's like, wow, we wouldn't even call them...
This is closer to Wit and Folly, but a little bit more intelligent. And not as bizarre. Like, obviously she knows some words. She's not using them correctly or 100% correctly. They're just... I don't know where she's coming from. And I don't know what she's trying to get at, aside from I feel stuff, which is not an argument for aesthetics. Feeling stuff is like a... There's 2 major schools, and the second school where everything's subjective and feeling is kind of just sort of not really cared about because it doesn't matter what you say. Anyone can say, well, look, I could feel this. It's like, yeah, and I could punch myself in the wall and feel great. What are you talking about? What's the argument? It's just I feel X. I feel X because thing is sharp. It's like, yeah, and so when you have lenses, it's a different story. But we're talking about basic pleasure and pain, and it's not a valid unless there's some some philosopher I missed in my ramblings that I didn't read about philosophy of aesthetics that has to do with that secondary school. I wouldn't know. But really, it's just an interpretation which has no basis aside from, look, the the bombers in Last Jedi are weak because they're getting destroyed easily. It's like, thank you, Just Right. That's fantastic. I'm glad you shared that insight with us. It's very helpful.
And speaking as a girl who shockingly lost her own father.
Oh, the pathos. Oh, you brought this up. I could really identify with Abby. I'm sure you're going to say something.
Well, the thing is, if you can... so, like, this to me kind of sounds more like a bias than a statement of quality. It's like, I don't think there's anything wrong with it being a bias. Because obviously you can't choose the way you have what happens in your real life and what you relate to, but to say, well, I care more about this story because I'm sure some of you get to say, well, this doesn't even relate remotely because her father probably wasn't murdered, and then she went on a whole story of revenge. But yeah, it's just kind of saying I have this bias for X reason, and this is impacting me. It's like, oh, well, good to know. Good to know your bias.
Yeah, so anyone who talks from, I've experienced this, we're talking about ethos, and it's appealing to our emotion. We're talking about pathos. These are modes of persuasion. I thought she was going to get into that. She talked about rhetorical devices, because those are, whenever you bring up rhetorical devices, you talk about communication, you talk about linguistics, you bring up Aristotle. Didn't mention a damn thing about that. I have no idea what she's talking about with rhetorical devices. There's all kinds of rhetorical devices. Was that done in the game? I wasn't thinking that. I wasn't like bringing up, I don't know, ancient Greece or, let me think, alliteration. There's meiosis.
Left.
Like pick one.
We can move on. We can get this done.
Kill this thing, boys! Yeah, get him.
We're coming a bit close. We've got like 20 minutes before Lit Dev stream.
All right, we got 1 minute. Let's go.
I cast no judgment if you were unable to enjoy this harrowing experience. I know
Yes,
how
you
it
do.
feels to be lost, alone, and unable to see through the fog. And I think the ultimate lesson
So does
The
a lot
Last
of
of Us
people.
Part 2 teaches the player is how well they cope with pain. I hope that Joel's death was not in vain. So when we look back at
How can you not know?
Well,
What does that mean? I hope Joel's death was not in vain. We played the game. What were you looking at? Didn't you feel anything?
There was no positive. There was no positive that possibly came out of Joel's death, other than Abby found some more relief.
Like at the very end, she has the same sentiment as many of these gamers that she kind of demonized. She feels the same way. She doesn't want Joel's death to be in vain because Joel was a very important character to us, a very important character to the entire franchise. That's the same reason why all these gamers, so quote unquote gamers, were angry because Joel died for no reason and with no fanfare. He didn't die in the way we wanted him to, or the way he should have.
Respectfully.
Respectfully, exactly.
I can't recall the quote from Voice in the Box, but he said if Ellie just stayed home and did something else, the story would have gone just fine. Abby would have, died at the end because she got strung up or whatever, or maybe she would have went with Owen and Mel to Santa Barbara, and everything would have been fine. The ending would have stayed the same. It's just a waste of time. Of course, Joel's death, the inciting incident, spun off the stuff, caused all this stuff to happen, and nothing came about it because of it. That's it. That's the story. Nothing happens. People die. Zombie apocalypse. No kidding.
People die when they're killed.
Let's keep going.
Thanks, Emiya.
consumed the gaming community with disastrous hatred, we can say to ourselves,
This was a very definitive moment where every thinking and feeling person was like, ugh, we gotta do better than this.
Yes. Do better.
Yeah, we gotta make a better game.
Yep.
Just
Exactly.
shit.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Oh, is this the ending? It's over.
It's over.
Well, there's another 20 seconds, but I assume it's over.
Guys, there's a guitar. You can play the guitar in the game in the beginning and the end. It's a beautiful story
look,
just
it's
because it has a
beautiful
guitar.
Music. Yeah, it's beautiful music because it has a beautiful ending. Oh my god.
Oh my god, it's so cute. I love it so much. No, I don't. It's fucking trash. Get it out of my face.
Okay.
It's over.
Yay, thanks guys. That was great. Oh, I got a super chat, sorry. John Lemley, sometimes it really do be all for nothing. Yes, exactly. That's what happens.
Don't you love that?
It's silly.
Don't you love that feeling when you're like, oh yeah, I invested all my time and energy. I tried so hard and I got so far, but in the end it doesn't even matter.
Yes.
Just like that one Linkin Park
Oh
song.
my god, it rhymes. How did they know?
They just knew. They knew, Smud.
Here's DK Samaritan. Sorry, I passed it. Just watch the review. The reviewer really pisses me off. She only had that one or two things to say at the beginning. The rest was kind of drivel and reaching, and I don't like that stuff. It's the argument from feelings, and if you want to make that argument, that's fine, but you have to know what you're talking about, and you can't just bring up literary terms and just end it there. You have to define them, you have to explain them, you have to reference them. This is weak sauce, and this is getting like 800 views because it's so wonderful video editing, fantastic, and that's all it comes down to. Not the arguments, not the points. It sounds good. It kind of just like the game. Looks good, sounds good, plays well. Everything else is trash.
Yes, exactly.
Anyway, you guys have to get ready for D&D thing. I got to go run downstairs because I got to reconfigure some wires. Something is not working.
All right.
Yeah, but I'll try and join as soon as I can. But thank you everyone for joining on. Where is the stream going to be held?
I believe my channel.
Okay.
Yeah, it could be on mine, but I kind of felt like, oh well, we can just upload it to mine instead of uploading it to First Edition.
Oh, so you're gonna actually play it offline and then upload it later?
No. Okay, so it's going to be streamed on LitDev's channel, but then it's going to be re-uploaded to mine. It was everything going to be streamed on my channel, but I kind of felt like, well, there's no one going to be watching on my channel, so it's probably best to do it on LitDev's.
Can you guys put the link to the stream, or is it already set up?
Not yet, I don't think.
Okay, but it's LiteratureDevil's channel, so let's just in the comments, there's LiteratureDevil's channel. Just click on that and wait for
I
that.
can link it.
Wait for that to pop up. Okay.
See you there, dorks. Boom.
Fuckwit.
Okay, guys, thanks for tuning in. Really appreciate your time. If you have any suggestions or recommendations, come to Discord. Go to the suggestions section. Post them in there, whether it's a blog post or video. I'll be looking at them all. Thanks, guys. We'll see you soon. And everyone head on over to LiteratureDevil stream, okay?
Yes.
All right. See you soon.